Radiant's courier has been slain.
Mine!
Dire's structures are
这么菜的队友不会生气吧，哥哥？你这么菜的队友不会生气吧，哥哥？
Dire's middle tower is under attack. Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Bounty.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Thanks.
Invisibility!
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Oh, too bad. Nature's wrath.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Stupendous! Bounty.
Dire's top tower is under attack. tower has fallen. Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant's bottom tower has fallen. Dire tower is under attack. Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Here now.
Mine!
Selfish.
Blessings, loyal warrior!
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Meanwhile, this smoke, half duration already gone for XSS and not finding a hero to jump. Oh, mind you, Quinn, though, be a juicy target, and I don't see a good save here.
Oh, he knew. He knew. Very aware. As they do have the Nature's Prophet Orchid done. So Leslau waiting for an opening where will present itself.
And look who's there to help set it up. It's MSS already having the Shikuchi level 4 stolen. This is why you pick the Rubik into the Weaver. It's one of the reasons why Rubik's making a little bit of a comeback right now, because it's such an amazing spell to steal. And XSS will not find an opportunity to jump onto this. MSS is already back to the mid lane.
This part that's a little bit tough is, of course, only having that 1 point right now in telekinesis makes it a little bit more difficult to get the lift into Orchid from the Nature's Prophet, but we'll have to see how it goes.
This game is tense.
It really is.
Like, we're staying on our side of the river, like no one wants to go to get their way.
Oh, and look at this. And I'm going to do a good job of killing off that Tramp before it can get in there to block at the 14-minute mark. So very nicely done by Aster. And now Smoke into a very quick fix.
I think his foot was touching the water. I think they're, you know, they're keeping their territorial waters sovereign right now on Quincy crew, and of course, very important to not allow your opponent to block out those camps, as you point out, because we're in a bit of a stalemate. And if you're just farming your side of the map and you have one less ancient camp, well, mathematically, that's not good.
That's math.
That's as far as our math skills can go.
That's true. NA Classic. That's Borax and XXS gonna run through the river together, smoked, hoping to find some premium nutrients. They're off to do their job, locking out those ancients. But will Leslau get caught? May be able to save this one. Can he do it? I'm not so sure. Gucci through. Leslau lives there. Orchid and now MSS trying to chase. Nowhere's there. Pull back maybe. XXS will be able to get out of that one. Not bad at all. And at that, a 3,000 gold lead is starting to open up for Aster.
And MSS missing on the Shikuchi does now have the press the attack, so what you could actually see here is baiting out Quinn. This is what you tend to do is Rubik, right? You take your spell and you hope that you have to rethink about like what your hero is. And Legion Commander players, of course, they love to try and bait out another core, right? Make him dangle out there a little bit, as some of our friends would say. So I imagine that's what MSS will be looking to do with Quinn. Just don't miss the save.
Absolutely.
Yeah, a little tip out there for you support players. They tend to not want to go for another dangle when you let them die the first time.
You're not wrong. As Black.
Great scout.
Nicely played. That Orchid reveal not getting what White Album hoped. That's MSS. Be the playmaker in this one. The panel talked about the fact that they felt like they wanted him on a stronger hero. We saw a lot of tree.
No more trees. No more MSS trees.
Rubik's the way to go. And in the meantime, though, you can see Monet, top of the net worth. This Luna has been pretty much free to do whatever the heck she wants this entire game.
And we, of course, find a similar situation to our last match. Now, mind you, last game, like by now, with the Luna, you already saw so many group up plays, and they were just moving together as one, storming that tier 1 tower in the mid lane. Aster not able to find that, partially because of the great map movements here from Quincy crew and just pushing out those lanes, but also just like the slightly greedier stance that Aster are taking. They're not trying to force it that hard. I do continue to worry about some of these possibilities for Aster.
Easy pick off there. LOA just catching the gank.
Yeah, and that is okay as a support, you know, to tanks and the ganks like that and try and slow down the smokes and the aggression as they try and hunt for your Spectre. But if they can transition this into an actual tower, that's where it becomes a problem.
800 gold away from the Aghanim Scepter for the Spec, which has so often been that big team fight winning and also sort of tempo increasing hero.
Absolutely ridiculous, you know, and we have a combo here. We had the Storm and the Spectre earlier today together. Now we have the Storm and the Nature's Prophets. Sorry, the Spectre and the Nature's Prophets. What happens is, of course, you haunt, you get the full vision, you can cast the ulti from the Nature's Prophet, you're going to try and find who I want to TP in on, and much like Storm Spirit benefits from that vision for initiation, Void Spirit feels the same way. You want that hero hiding in the trees to the target first.
Trees walking forward to get some vision, giving away some gold as well while it happens, and underneath the ward, Leslau going to be found. Orchid action. Jumps in, gonna the attack. Comes a second afterwards, and White Album going to live through that one. Dude, this is on a knife's edge right here.
These fights are so interesting because we have so many great tools, and you know we have to be like keeping an eye on what's available in this deck of cards and in the stack and what's happening. We're going on Orchid cards, we're counting them with press the attack.
Afterward keeps Quinn alive. So a trade of 1-for-1, you'll take that every day of the week for Quincy.
Yeah, LOA coming through with the stun, and then the Orchid as well to actually bring down that Storm Spirit. So finding their way through the coverage of XXS, not able to save him with a press the attack this time, and a big loss here from Aster from what looked like a great pickoff.
It was absolutely perfect from what it was looking like, and then everything fell apart, as it sometimes does. So 18 minutes and still very little separating these two teams.
There it is.
Big question, Shadow Step.
I believe we had the fastest eggs just this morning in terms of like TI main event. Of course, a relatively new build, so we're popping up, but I mean, that thing was like 15 something, you know? This is relatively, you know, on the later end, but getting there eventually. And now they're gonna find some kills that the two of them work. The kills Quincy are looking for, that's what Aster wants.
That was perfect.
40 dual damage now for XSS. Wait a minute.
Jump into the but they're going to get another kill, this time onto LOA. And Just like that, Aster find the kill. Gonna go into Roche now with the BKB online from away. This is that timing you were talking about.
This is a very different temperament than last game. Last game they forced a lot of issues early. Instead, Aster been much more patient. They know they have excellent initiation. They can wait for you to sort of approach them a little bit more, and then they're going for that really quick punish. Maybe they haven't gotten any tier 2 towers in but going into those is really going to help that.
This is exactly what they're hoping to do on Aster. This game is looking a little bit dicey there in the middle part, but now looking pretty strong. And in the next couple of minutes, we'll see how Aster decide to play. Denying the mid tower, and what does Quincy do? They're grouped together like they want to fight, but
Interesting choice here as well from Aster, right? We often talk about Storm Spirit with the Aegis being this like amazing hero and can really enable your mid game by taking this, but instead this kind of goes back to, again, putting the Luna in the front, right? They're really going to be gunning for this tier 2 towers by putting the Luna straight up there with the Aegis. And how do you play that fight as Quincy crew?
I mean, you basically have to go for the backlines, which is not an easy proposition at all.
No, when you have a BKB Luna and she's so fast that you try and go to the backline, she's going to get there. She's going to BKB, she's going to run at those heroes that you're trying to jump on, and you might find yourselves dead.
And we've talked about how much Forex has been able to do in this game on the Weaver. Getting towards that Aghanim Scepter now, things looking very, very dangerous.
I've definitely done him a disservice this game, considering he's only 1-1-3. I feel like whenever I look at him, he's shikuching somewhere on the map and just getting information, right? It's not providing like necessarily like a ton of kills in the moment and everything, but he's delaying moves from Quincy crew. He's, I mean, they have amazing wards down as well from the side of Aster that he's helping like give Lanham the idea of like where to go to place those. And then you always got the bugs, max level now, and very scary when combo with the medallion.
Look at that Radiant scan. They know they're right on top of them.
It's smoke without Haunt for 35 seconds. So yes, you're gonna have the egg, so you can be a little bit more aggressive. But obviously Haunt, you know, gives you that real power force here. And when you're fighting into Aegis, they're not looking for all 5 heroes without Haunt. That's for sure.
Ooh, this could be an interesting pickoff, but you can see White Album. It feels like he knows what's coming.
I mean, again, those deep wards, right? Like they just have so much information about what they're up to on the side of Quincy crew.
The White Album will show in the mid, and as that happens, the rest of Aster starts to rotate towards the Storm Spirit. Playing it safe as can be. At the same time, you're seeing Quincy crew not really lose out on that much on the map, it feels like. The lead is not expanding hugely, but maybe with this fight it could be a move.
They're going to try again, right? You know, we stalled it a wee bit, but they're going to force the fight into that top lane. Still 2.5 minutes left on the Aegis for Monet. That's going to farm him towards the Scotty, and then they're looking for White Album to get that BKB. A Devil White Album is going to be a problem. XSS is going to have to make those big saving plays. So with the Blink and the BKB, it's not
Get the BKB, static storm, everything drops. And with no buyback, no chance to get back in that fight. They're going to take it nonetheless. Shadow step in, yeah, we're on top of one. Quinn backs away, Borax still there, and LOA thinking about walking in on this, as Aster have used a lot of resources.
Yeah, impressive bit of a trade though, considering that jump. You know, you'll kind of take that when it's an Aegis on the side of Aster. They're also somewhat okay with the situation as they've now garnered themselves an outpost, and they're also eyeing up Quinn here, but he's got a haste from the Yule, so he'll be all right, barring some bad misstep when this duel comes back.
The other thing I really like about that play by Aster is that they only used the 1 BKB on Legion, right? Like that is super useful. The ability to find these pickoffs, has 60 dual damage now on XXS. And not really committing that many resources. So 23 minutes in, 9-9, still very close game, but you can feel Aster starting to take a little bit more of a lead.
Yeah, and Quincy crew don't have much choice other than just wait out this Aegis before they want to go for that Haunt fight. They still have some very terrifying tools. Their next big jump up, probably not until Quinn is able to go towards something closer to like the Aghanims. For now, he feels like he might just need a Kyra, so he's not going to have a massive jump up in power anytime soon.
Monet shows the team is there, press the attack. Down to about half HP, the glimpse back afterwards. Monet also in some trouble.
Static storm here for coverage too.
So that is going to be Aegis down. And Quinn gave up his life for that one, has buyback.
And I love this too, just rushing right for the tower. Now mind you, bottom lane, Leslow finding a trade, didn't like the look of that fight, so They have taken the tier 2 in the bottom lane. That is at least something for them, but Aster, again, I'm sure very happy that Aegis was running low anyway, and now they'll just come back down to the bottom and recapture that outpost here.
This is the thing. You can see Quincy crew, it's just little pecks away at their network over and over again, and Aster starting to build up this lead. Step into this. Do they go for any extra fight? This is without Quinn.
Yeah, the Glimmer Cape there too. So many defensive tools for Monet, just shoving them in the front line and daring Quincy crew to engage fully.
I mean, this is looking maybe a little desperation-y. If they try and go into this direction, they do storm from the Rubik. But now the turnaround and finding out a way. He's gonna get close, and he's gonna get dueled and killed. And Quincy crew not really sure why they're chasing there.
It was a long chase with little payoff, but again, it's the wards killing them. They saw Leslie just go up top. There's a ward in their jungle spotting that he couldn't actually come through because he TP'd in up there, and his TP was, obviously he's not going to be able to use the TP scroll to get down to that fight too, so easily able to jump onto tower without much fear.
Up falling, XXS doing so much damage. I was gonna say that you look at Monet, he is so incredibly strong right now, but really XXS is the one that's winning these fights, whether it's the pressed attack or 100 dual damage at 25 minutes. I mean, this is scary.
It's the whole team. And now it's going to be Borax there too. Like, Lanham's covering him with the Glimmer Cape. He's got that. You got the press attack from XSS. Now they have an Aghanim Scepter from Borax. So,
I don't know how they kill people.
It is very, I mean, you need to hunt. You need to see where the Weaver is. You need to target. You have to burst down the Weaver first, right? 1700 HP, has the Aghanim Scepter. You have to hope you can get the full disable off, but again, you know, they're going to be focusing down on you. So the way that Aster are just playing right now, grouping up together and pushing, you just have to look at last game of that. You saw how that can win a match very quickly and why it's so hard to deal with.
Well, and Monet continues to farm, getting towards that Scotty next. There's going to be a window here where, like, oh, wait a minute. It's going to be killed off. Just farming in the jungle, didn't know where to go, and got bopped. MSS takes down Lana, but that is not a trade you want at all.
Yeah, he did his job, right? He got the Spectre into the squad, and of course there is an issue with this build on the Spectre. It's harder to get into some of these tankier items. The Aghanims gives you much more offensive capabilities, and the HP is okay, right? But overall, you're going to have some issues playing against some of these heroes when you can't get those earlier Mantas.
And Spec was so close to finishing off that Manta stat at that point. Thinking about how much that could have changed that dynamic, but I was talking about it, the slow chip away and the slow buildup of Aster. Now a 6,000 gold lead.
And it's all going to culminate with this second Roche, like it has so many times in the past year for Dota 2.
Wait a minute. Is this a free
The team's coming, though.
I don't know about that one.
I mean, look at the wards that he's got around him. He felt like he was safe. He felt like this was just a safe area where he could farm and finish out his BKB cooldown, right? There was still like 20 seconds left. And
well, very well played by Quincy crew to take advantage of that and get through those wards.
And what would be really crazy if it had been a super fast Roche. But unfortunately for Quincy crew, it's going to be 1 minute and 15 seconds till it returns. So for Aster's sake, they will have the return of White Album for the Roche fight.
What a big engagement. Like, that kickoff right there changes so much about this game, it feels like. You get a huge cut into lead and now some amount of control of the game. But this, a DD for Monet.
And you're actually allowed to, you know, hit creeps right now. Exactly. You're still alive and you're missing heroes. You're starting to walk back towards your base. And core heroes dying obviously has a massive impact on your economy, much more than just the kill bounty. But, oh, this Luna, you know, Monet been the stalwart driving force at the front of this bus. Now up to level 20, has the plus 100 Lucent Beam damage talent, and is looking towards a Satanic. And when that is done, and if the Aegis is claimed for Aster, you've got to imagine they're going to feel so confident moving towards that high ground.
Well, it is going to be a fight and a half, depending upon if Quincy crew will be able to contest for that Roche. As Monet's still the one up front and center.
They needed this silver edge done on Leslie. Like, Quinn is playing this this very mobile and around the map sort of hero, sacrificing his own farm. He's not going for the next big item. He's not going for the eggs. He's not going for the BKB. He just wants the Sanj and Kaya. He's piecing it together one by one through all these little pickoffs and mostly these little depths that he's also finding. But now the Roche is there. The Shard is up. And how much information do they have on Quincy? Not a whole lot, but they are swooping in behind. They've got the right movement.
Quick enough, though. The movement just a bit too late. And what's that? Aster, get the agency shard.
The trans do spot them at the very least, and of course that Shard going to be given right over to the Luna, so it's going to be the bonus attack.
And Aster, they're not messing around. They want to run right into this one and take this fight. Quinn, this smoke breaks right on Mozo with a jump to the back line. Maybe a fight that could work here. They used everything on this last round. Walking away, but going to fall.
Okay, that seemed okay, but they still don't want to go for the jump in. As you mentioned, many tools used by Aster, but if you don't actually go for the haunt and you don't bring in the Nature's Prophet, I don't think they're really going to get that full punish on that you might want. And Aster is very confidently running it down your mid lane. And what is the plan here from Quincy crew? Because they're going to start knocking on the door mighty fast.
This hurts. This one hurts a whole heck of a lot. Hoping to get a little bit of a counterplay. Don't know how well that's going to work, considering it's a Luna, but does have a chance to spawn the pullback in. Time lapse.
How do you punish this?
It's incredibly difficult, but you can see the counterplay right now from Leslie. He's taking that bottom tier 3 tower.
And Yaller's even staying nearby too, of course, has some help and he can be globally available as well. So Aster, the push and pull here, and they're not sure where to go.
Man, Leslie keeping him in this game though. You can see this pressure down bottom has completely forced back Monet.
He's right to that top lane too, but might have him quickly there to clean that up. So I envision now we're going to start seeing some side lane wards from Aster. I feel like they're going to want to try and go for these pickoffs onto Leslie because he's got a massive target on his back after little plays like that. And has he got himself towards that silver edge? He is getting there. And of course, that's where you really got to get things together for the big damage kill.
Smoke up again from Aster. Going to start heading back towards mid. Now, all of the lanes have been pushed out, but not super significantly. And in fact, top has got a bunch of trans that are there.
With that dual cast range talent, they're so much bolder on the Legion commanders. They're willing to jump a little bit more blind. Doesn't see anything at the moment.
Yeah, no wards in the area right now. Their main wards over in the dire triangle. But don't need wards to see up towards this high ground.
They also see a very annoying Nature's Prophet on their bottom lane here too, so they're going for high ground.
And this is going to be quick. Press the attack to pull back in again. Catches. Creep actually, and now so they will focus down these racks. Nobody else from Quincy crew can really make a play to contest this at the moment. When it gets ahead like this, you have to get something on the opposite side.
To take back the outpost and throw the treants at the high ground. Still no contest here from Quincy.
And afterwards, White Album forces out a bit of rotation, trying to cover his team's retreat. Thought about the stun, didn't call for it. And there's the press the attack, but you can see that this is going to be the trade-off. They get the tier 3 tower bottom. A lot of damage on the range racks. Yeah, not wrong. Well, wait a minute, though. Wait a minute. The hostage is down. Static Storm is there, and on the override, they're able to find the disruptor. Trying to bring down a couple of Monet. They're going to leave him alone. Very low HP. Find a kill. Turning now on to White Album, the back away. They have no detection. But let's allow TP'ing out of that one, and does look like he's going to complete it. The buyback from the disruptor and the buyback from LOA, they were able to get an okay fight, but they didn't burn through the Aegis.
The TP ends this game. He's getting a big raise on Leslie to ensure he has the escape. But it feels like it's only a matter of time. It feels like it's just delayed at this point before you actually need the massive clash, you know?
Where's the sort of big item that turns this all around for Quincy crew? I'm not seeing it.
I feel like it's a lot of items. I feel like they all go on your Spectre until she is absolutely massive. So Yao doing his best to revive the Spectre with what is needed.
Delay, 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 but will it be enough delay? Because you can see right now, 8,000 gold ahead of the Spectre is the Luna. Like, that's a big hill to climb.
It's It's tough too because Nature's Bond and Core is so item based, and obviously, you know, he's doing great on Leslau. He's the top on his team, but you're kind of hoping to be that like second big hero on the team, right? In these situations, but he's been forced to take up so much of the farm because he's the only one who go really deep now. Oh, Borax actually leaving where he is. He's near Leslau. Still gonna head on out of there and go to that bottom lane. Gonna join the team and pushing this tier 2. Not caring about Leslau. They're kind of going for the ignore the Nature's Prophet strat here.
It's true. Which, I mean, if you keep taking these buildings, it works pretty well. The other thing is that besides NP, there isn't really another tower hitter on Quincy crew.
We're gonna go another layer here. We're pushing creeps to the base. They're gonna find themselves another one of these great pickoffs when someone comes back to push out one of these deep lanes, like when they got White Album the last time in the bottom lane. Now I say that, mind you, and they are at least successful in their first mission. They have delayed out past this Aegis, and the game is still going. They're down racks, not good, but you're still alive.
I think that, again, the thing to consider for both of these teams is for Aster, this is a moment where so often they've been the ones that have been knocking out other Chinese teams. So often they've been the ones that have been eliminating them, and then, you know, getting a good amount of criticism from their own community from it, and hoping now to actually be able to get some work done.
They let the creeps get a bit too close.
Yeah, and that's going to be the punish that you see there. So hoping to finally actually get some results at this TI would be such a win for Aster if they could make it happen.
Again, though, this great vision from Aster. A little technical issue here, but they know where Yawer is right now. They know he's farming up inside the jungle, so right at his Ancients. Could potentially see some movement there. Currently, their lane's in an okay spot. We got creeps all the way down through that bottom lane and doing all right in the mid, as well as pushing out top lane too. So could see a smoke here from Aster in a moment.
Definitely, and obviously want to make sure that all these players are able to play at the highest level, sort out these technical issues as quickly as possible, and get back into the game. But to sort of expand upon that point that I was talking about before, you know, in much the same way that for Aster it was this, you know, needing to perform well on big lands, the same situation exists for Quincy crew. This is a team that has been to multiple TIs under various different organizations and not had the results that they wanted on the main event. Yeah,
they've started upper bracket twice.
And both times they were knocked out by OG. And this is the first time that they're going to have to be coming in through that lower bracket and be in a situation where they would go out in the best of one's elimination unless they're able to turn this back around here.
Best of one Dota.
It's one of those things that just, like, the pressure of the moment, you can't even imagine what it's like for all these players to be working at this point for 2 years and have it all defined potentially for you, whether it's success or failure within the scope of just this one game. It's potentially devastating or amazing.
Yeah, the discussion of like relaxing and just like playing Dota like it's any other game, I feel like has become a more and more common topic for pro players as they discuss like, you know, the sort of discussions they now have as teammates. And best of ones have got to be the hardest one to put that into your head, right? This is just another game of Dota. This doesn't mean anything. This is one very important game of Dota.
Absolutely.
To put you one step further in TI and of course get yourselves to that best of 3, because, you know, some teams, they just perform better on the bounce back. Some teams, they learn a lot from a loss, and all you can learn from this loss is a lot of pain and suffering.
You're not wrong. It's a sad way to put it, but
we keep it happy here at TI and the best of ones.
This is the problem, right? Is that it's like in these best of ones, it's all battle and it's all bloodshed down in the bottom. The upper bracket, it's like, oh, you can make memes about it and stuff because you know they got more games to play. Yeah. There's no meme in here.
Competition is the greatest thrill, and so someone needs to lose for us to have competition. This is the necessity. So, thank you.
Too true.
To the losers. To the exiters, my mistake.
That's right, there you go.
The exit bracket.
That's the one.
Yeah.
This is the exit bracket for sure, as we are waiting for this tech issue to get sorted out here. Again, just state of the game, 15-12, Aster in a very commanding lead at this point. You can see Dota Plus, 80% win probability they got it set at.
Ooh, you know, that's actually surprising considering Spectre. Usually you get a little bit of a buff there. Maybe that is with the buff. It's not a good side for Quincy crew. Usually it's like 10% kind of over the how you might actually feel. But then, you know, Spectre, of course, famous for many comebacks in very recent TIs. So could find themselves in another one on that long list of successes. But But it's going to be tough. This is good. Keep the mood light here.
Exactly.
Right? You got to make sure everyone's staying engaged. I mean, it was him who paused, so if he's chat wheeling, I have to imagine we're getting close.
Maybe that's the test. The chat wheel is the test to make sure everything's working.
Maybe that's what wasn't working.
You
Maybe
know what else we need to test?
Unbound.
For all you people that are out there, you know, give the cheers in the client. That's how we need to test to make sure that everything is working. We'll see it up there on the screen in just a second.
I like the floating letters.
You do?
Yeah, it looks nice.
Wow, absolutely.
When they're really going, you know? Fire off to the sides.
I didn't even notice that. I'm going to be completely honest. There's more focusing on the game itself. But yeah, it's sort of this, again, oh, look at them. There they go. It's only the NA broadcast, though. I don't know if the Chinese broadcasters listen to us that much.
I don't think they're listening to us.
No.
I think they have more interesting things to talk about.
Yeah, I think that it's worth, again, reiterating just like how strong of a dual save you've got on Aster at this point with the Luna up front and center, and how important this Aegis is.
And they're going for the triple save play in a sense, because rather than going for that ever discussed Aghanim Scepter, Monam currently at least is actually eyeing up a BKB, which I love.
Okay.
Because that gives him everything. Right? I mean, eventually there's going to be a Basher, but if you can force the Basher, like the Abyssal Spectre, to jump on you as Disruptor, you've already done your job. Yeah, I'm completely happy with you at that point.
Yeah, it does feel like he has just sort of stood as such a strong stalwart force in this one, and being able to, you know, force either the fight on a bad term. I think again about that Yawar kill inside the Dire jungle when they're running up there, got the glimpse back, get the kill. You know, whatever the case ends up being, this is that hero that can punish mistakes in a way that it doesn't even sometimes feel like you made a mistake. It was just, I was just trying to farm there. And he got caught and killed.
Yeah, and in some games as a Spectre lineup, you have this, you know, there's unrivaled confidence going late. Like, eventually, guys, everything's going to be fine. But I would not peg this game as necessarily one of them, right? There is a Storm Spirit in this match who also tends to be one of the absolute best heroes in the late game. Just so many tools. I mean, there's a reason why some teams will just straight up first pick it every game, even if it feels like it's being countered, even if it feels like an obvious thing that you're going to do. Storm Spirit has movement. It has freedom. It has freedom almost unlike any other hero in Dota 2, simply because you can point, click, go.
Oh, and speaking of point, click, go, we're going to go right back into this one, Trent.
I got the segues.
You nailed it, man. What a brilliant performance. And as we get ready to go into this one, hopefully we will be able to see this next Roche fight and how it ends up playing out, right? You've got the potential there for not really a sneak, but it feels like at every stage, Quincy haven't been able to come in. Oh no! Yeah, they were ready. They were ready. Big play.
That's a Dota classic.
Yeah.
They pause, you run at them, because everyone loses that brain image of where the minimap is. It's something that it flows the entire time you play Dota. You're always thinking, okay, they were there, and they could possibly be here. You're thinking about how far people move, and then it's like this big eraser just wipes all the chalk off the board, and you don't remember where anyone was. And well, sometimes it's a pretty big punish. They instantly go higher. This would be an absolute massive punish. Look at the smoke support in the back.
And look at this down bottom. There's simultaneously pressure being mounted by Leslie. They're going to lift up the wave down there as he continues to beat away at these wrecks.
Those creeps in the top lane, Leslie.
They're also doing it. The lift up now. Monet going to get time lapse and press the attack. They have a window wide open. Rubik able to get the silence and the kill. So 2 dead. They do a buyback of Rubik, but at the same time,
Going top as well. Leslie, he got the tower.
they got their eyes on the prize. They want to end this one now. Go for the tier 4 towers. You got to fight him. Rubik, he's back into this one. Have Aster voted a bit too deep. They need to commit now because they've already lost those other racks on the other side. They take him down and now killing off one of them. Have they been able to open this one up?
It's very expensive though on the side of Quincy crew, and there are buybacks here from Aster, but what?
That was huge. Now again, you have this big win condition where Quincy crew only have 1 buyback left on this Nature's Prophet, and Roche, it's a long spawn. Oh, that's gotta hurt.
Is indeed a painful one for them, and you know, there's actually a little treat left in their base from Aster, a ward that got dropped down in this fight here, but you can see that pressure that was on them looking for the base race plays. You can see how it really
this. It's down to 4K gold lead now, and more importantly, like objective-wise, you can actually see a pathway for Quincy crew to win this off the back of just a little bit of insanity for Leslau.
Total chaos factor coming into play here, and now we're going to be looking towards that Roche and wondering what'll be there as well. True. Gifted from Roche. Either team, I mean, imagine an Aghanim. Probably the best that you could get here.
Oh man. This is that tense moment here. You've got the Aeon disc done. They're underneath a ward. Aster going to D-ward now. But those like little random walks into a vision, it could so quickly go terribly. And now, if you're Aster, you also have to prep for potentially pressure onto tier 4 with a throne of their own. Smoke up. 4 heroes gonna go around the pit. Still a minute before it's gonna respawn. Leslau in vision. But will back out after. Try and hold this area.
Another smoking from Quincy, but they're playing blind. They don't see anything ahead of them.
Trying to do some vision, scouting with these trans.
All they can do is push the waves, right? That's their vision key right now, is trying to get bottom lane jumping in, top lane jumping in. They see it. That's the big haunt.
Looking for more. What can they find? On the White Alpha BKB, but the chase down is coming. Quincy crew streaming in. White Alpha, where you going? As they run it down through the mid lane, get the silence.
Are you guys gonna play the game?
That is some illegal game there, right?
Unbelievable. As they got their eyes set for each other.
The emotions are just staring at each other. They're not sure what to do. The call's been made. They're running for the tier 4.
He's ready. He knows he's hungry. He wants to win and move on in TI. As the tier 4s will fall Aster. How quickly things fall apart. GG.
Easy for Leslau. Unbelievable plan. He's crawling to hit the pressure. They're coming to your high ground. He's knocking on the back door. And they didn't know what to do. They panicked. And Quincy crew pulled an incredible fight to stave off. I mean, that game looked like they were in so much trouble.
Unbelievable and heartbreak central for Aster. The game, they could feel it. It was right there. The pause happened, they got a kill, and afterwards it all slipped away from them. And Quincy crew are gonna move on at
Seemed like they were hitting all their marks and they had a plan of where to go. They're getting the right item.
But then sign language, it works out.
Well,
I'm
you're
sure
the dominant team in the region, right? You're like the best. You have been there for years. Everyone kind of expects that real strength from you.
Yeah, absolutely. This Beast Coast squad, though, I mean, I mentioned it earlier briefly, they are not unfamiliar with the best of ones.
No, they've made their way through. I think I remember them as a team at ESL Hamburg, like 2019. That kind of like lower bracket storyline where they're able to just kind of like surprise everyone. They did actually eventually lose 2-1 to Alliance in that one, but like it's just the fact that they have kind of sparked the creativity of breaking down like. You know, SA as a region at tournaments, they kind of lack the ability to push deep into tournaments, right? Maybe Thunder Predator Singapore, but Beast Coast, they consistently have like moved away from that kind of stigma for the region, and they can do anything in any series. Like you could never count them out. And I think they are probably one of the scariest teams in the best of one we have today, because look at their heroes. They're dabbling in, you know, some CKs. They even were the first team, I think, to pick Enigma. Like, they're doing whatever they want to do. And when a team has that level of, like, self-confidence, that's when you're the scariest at the best of one.
That's when you're the scariest, absolutely. So the big difference between Beast Coast and Alliance. Beast Coast, they, as mentioned, they played at TI9 with this exact same roster. Sure, they added a coach in the meantime as well. But Alliance, they had a whole different roster at TI9. Some of you might remember that is now called Team Liquid. But they rebuilt a team from scratch. The organization rebuilt a team from scratch after TI9. Lyrical. Well, I think we can actually hear you now.
Yay!
Yay! And it is super impressive on what they've already been able to achieve.
Yeah, totally. So to me, like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen, there's a great movie called The Replacements with Keanu Reeves in it. That's what Alliance feels like to me. This team of like a ragtag bunch of people that came together and that felt like, all right, we're going to actually try and, you know, revitalize our careers and make it work. And it's actually worked throughout most of the DPC. The problem has been Atlanta events, and that's sort of been the problem for them here so far through the group stage as well.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is a lot of it's weird at a lot of Van Gareth that doesn't bode well for Alliance, but as you mentioned, it's best of one. Anything can happen.
Yeah, it is, and I think one of the keys to the success of this squad and you're bringing in all these players was FNG, right? He started out as a stand-in, and everyone's kind of waiting with bated breath. Is he going to join the squad properly? The announcement comes out, and we're like, yes, finally, you know, a solid captain, going to lead them to victory, and they look really good for an extended period of time, but like you said, at LAN events, they've been shaky.
They have been shaky. We're going to find out if that is something they have been working on. To get to the game, though, we have to get them on the stage, and that is what we are going to do right now. It is Team Alliance here at the International 10 as they take the main stage here for their best of one in the lower bracket. This team is a bunch of veterans mixed with some fresh blood. Of course, people remember Nico Baby. This is his second international. We saw him take the stage last year as Mineski, and he was the absolute star player of that squad, making him a hot commodity for the season that came after that. And Alliance wasted no time to make sure that they were able to snatch him up. And now we're going to see what he can do on the main stage here today. Their opponents, though. It is time to welcome in Beast Coast. Beast Coast here for their TI10 main stage performance. The only change they made in their roster is the guy you see at the end there. It is Mariano, formerly known as Pepita. He is coaching this squad now, and this squad, this Beast Coast squad, these 5 players, K1, Chrislock, Whisper, Schofield, Stinger, all these guys are, in my opinion, the reason the SA region has seen such tremendous growth. Their performance at TI9 created stability in the scene. Them sticking together was an example, lead by example. Beast Coast is leading by example, and now the whole region seems to be just being able to take it to the next level time after time. And they are looking hot here, of course, still in the lower bracket, but guess what? Beast Coast had to choose their opponents. They could choose, was it Aster or was it Alliance? Don't think they took too long to think about that one, Lyrical.
No, and it's interesting. I think that there were a couple people that maybe were a bit surprised, but, you know, Alliance is who they wanted to face off against. They felt like they were going to be able to take them down. It was a bold decision. We'll see if it pays off.
Yeah, I think in a large part, Beast Coast, during SADPC, I know in Season 1 in particular, we talked to a number of their players, the coaching staff, and it may not look like this outwardly, but they kind of model themselves on Chinese teams. They want to be that, you know, top of the region, playing like the Chinese squads, where they play that macro game, they extend games a little bit like VG Gaming does, and that might play into it, where they think, you know, we're too similar to Aster, let's play against a European squad where our style can shine.
Yeah, and it might very well do. It's going to depend on partially the draft. The draft, of course, concocted up by the captains, and the captain of Alliance was able to catch up with Casey earlier.
S4 has played with some of the best players and teams in Dota history, but has yet to relive the success of winning it all with Alliance at TI3. 8 years and a few other teams later, S4 has returned to Alliance, an organization now managed in part by some of his former TI3 teammates. Gustav is playing for his old team with new blood, which is one of the things he says made him want to return to competitive Dota after taking a few months off.
This was kind of the first break I've had in forever since I started Dota. I've never really taken a break, so I felt like I way worse at the game.
How have you changed as a captain over the years?
I know that's gonna sound weird, but sometimes you need to like kind of say no to people, and for me that's something I've tried to improve on, and I feel like I've become a little bit better on that.
I have some questions to ask you that you're probably not going to like. Is that all right?
No.
Dream League Season 15, Western Europe DPC is Alliance.
One of the bigger stories surrounding Alliance this season was their use of PPD as a temporary captain over the course of a month.
Getting more?
Our throne is in trouble. Our throne's in a little bit of trouble.
I can push it.
Yeah, I think that's it, guys. GG. GG.
Specifically during the Animajor qualifiers, where event organizers emailed teams to let them know coaches would be allowed in the room during the games.
When I first contacted him, it was because of a reason, right? We were gonna use him in game. This is a bit controversial. However, this is how I understood it, that I feel like other teams are gonna use this to their advantage. So I better get to it early to practice for TI if this is gonna happen.
So you brought PPD on as a result of reading that email?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Not beforehand. Interesting. Okay. And so what was your reaction to the way that ended up playing out?
I was actually surprised that other teams were not using their coach already. In my mind, everyone was using it, but actually nobody was using it. So then I was like, oh, are we the bad guys now? I guess we're the bad guys. But yeah, in that sense, it looks a bit unfair. And I agree with some of them, but we just did what we thought was best for the current situation.
Despite the controversy, Alliance shifted focus back to their main goal, making it to TI10. S4 not only knows how it feels to play at an international, but also how it feels to win. Limp and Handskin, I know, haven't been to a TI before. What sticks out in your mind about what that feels like as a player? How are you communicating that with your teammates to prepare them for that feeling?
Well, I'm always going to say that they need to enjoy the ride, kinda, and don't focus on down the line what's going to happen. Just focus on now and what you're going to do next. And yeah, enjoy the journey also.
Did you enjoy the journey?
Definitely. I mean, it's a rough journey, but it's not really regret. But I feel like at the end of it, you kind of look back and you're like, I could really like push myself to actually win another TI or 2 more TIs, you know, just be the best that I can be, kind of.
And S4 definitely has had also tremendous growth, not just as a player, but as a captain as well. And his squad is actually, at the moment, the only team that does not have a coach with them at TI10. However, Gareth, you got yourself in your squad FNG, former captain.
Yep.
You got Hanskut, former captain. Of course, you've got S4 as well. Do you even need a coach at that point?
You've got Loda as well, right?
You've got Loda as well.
You've got so many people there. I do think there's always a role for, you know, a coach in terms of communication, analyzing, gathering stats, because it can be a massive workload. But if you're spreading that across 3-4 people, then you know, potentially you can find yourself in a decent spot.
You'll find yourself in a decent spot for sure, T.
Yeah, I think the only concern I have for Alliance, or other than them being low bracket and best of one, is the fact that like out the 16 games they've played, they've only opened with the same pair like twice. Everything else has been slight shifts every single time, and like every opponent, they're always looking at their opponent going, okay, we need to now do this. We need to now maybe take that hero from them. And unlike other teams that often try and draft for themselves, it feels like Alliance has very much shifted away from the DPC, where they were the teams probably, you could say, maybe being boring, but winning, where they'd go like Tide Lion, Timber Lion, etc., right? Like they would ground their draft out pretty quick. So
like set a trend and...
Exactly, yeah, they were the trendsetters. And at TI so far, they have been kind of bouncing around a lot. So maybe this coach narrative, it could have helped ground them out.
So the one other thing that I would mention about is I feel like the time when the coach would be the most useful is during those group stages when there's so many matches going on, you can't catch up with all of them. If there's a time when it matters the least, it's right here in these best of one elimination matches. You had time to talk with everybody else, set your prep, and then get ready for the game.
Absolutely. This is going to be their, of course, the start of their lower bracket run. And for one of these two teams, for either Beast Coast or Alliance, it will also be the end of their lower bracket run, however brutal that sounds. I know that Beast Coast was the one that came in higher in the groups. And of course, as mentioned, they chose their opponent Alliance. But based on what we have learned during the group stage, are we feeling that Beast Coast is the favorite coming into this?
I think that they are. I think that this team is so often been underrepresented, underrated, that people are now starting to recognize, like, yeah, they're actually unbelievably good. I think it happened last TI, but more so than that, I think it's also sort of what you were talking about, Gary, that play style of like waiting it out and being willing to sort of take it to the later stages. I think that's proven to be effective this TI.
It was kind of funny during SADBC. I'm just going to continue being biased.
Of course,
like,
do it to it. That's great.
12 weeks, just keep on going. But it felt like season 1, they stomped everyone. It just looked like super dominant. And then season 2, the first 3 weeks or so, it felt like they were not losing on purpose, but putting themselves in position out of laning stage where they could continue practicing these longer games so they could figure out, hey, at 30 minutes, we're behind 10K, what do we do? What do we do now? And we see that from like Schofield's playstyle, from K1, who is the king of hitting creeps, but being able to actually set yourselves up on the opponent's side of the map is something they do really well.
Yeah, and they're going to need to do that, especially against Alliance, because TI so far for Alliance has been very much these kind of defensive style, big team fight heroes where they want to play into their opponent, and often Alliance was punished because they would be trying to play at a high pace, but didn't always have the resources. Beast Coast, though, they have these like skirmishing heroes, one tanky lad, be it a CK or a Timber or whatever, and they're surrounding this guy and pushing him into the fight. So this is very much a really hard matchup for Beast Coast, because if they make a mistake, if they run too far, Alliance is going to have the heroes ready to counterplay. But if Alliance keeps trying to fight, they're going to maybe not have the continued resources. Beast Coast just rolls them over. Like, it's very in the balance.
I think that Timber is like a really important point you're making about right there. It's banned out 8 games against them, and they got it 4 times, still 75% win rate. That hero feels like it's emblematic of their play style, and it just sets them up for success.
Whisper, right? Whisper is the carry of the team. You can talk about K1 farming all you want. You can think about Chris Luck and his rotations, but Whisper is the one that puts them on their back and says, hey, you're following me.
Yeah, let's talk about players for a little bit. And on the side of Alliance, I want to mostly talk about Limp and Hanskin, because those two players have been a staple in the Dota 2 scene for a very long time. They've been around forever, it feels like. This is their first TI, and yes, that is their first TI. They have played in a wildcards, but they didn't win it. And the rule is, if you don't make it out of the wildcards, you didn't actually technically play at TI. But they're gonna do it right now, nonetheless. It is time. One best of one. Will it be Beast Coast or will it be Alliance?
Versus Beast Coast. Game 1.
Again, as we have a draft that we're going to be enjoying together. And this draft will be analyzed by my wonderful analysts surrounding me, AUI 2000 and Effie. AUI, what can we be expecting for this game? What things do you think the team should be looking out for?
I think the team should have taken time to sort of identify what they think are the strengths and the weaknesses of both teams. I think for me personally, I think both teams should focus on shutting down each other's offlane. I think both S4 and Whisper are an incredibly important sort of pillar for both their teams. And I'm interested to see how they draft around that.
Would you agree with that?
I agree. And to add on to that, the most interesting thing to me about Beast Coast is it feels like they have 3 carries, kind of, in that there's always a player that you can depend on if they get a good game, right? And they have that in Whisper, Chris Luck, and in K1. So it just feels like that dependence that they can have on each other really makes it so that they draft kind of carefree, really.
What do you think the strengths of Alliance in a draft are, Howie?
Well, during a lot of the DPC, they would sort of default to playing 3 strength cores and a lot of damage on supports, and just be not static in lane, but wanting to play all 3 lanes, have these really tanky heroes, and wait for Nico Baby's timing. As soon as he hit that, he would sort of lead them around the map. I think their strengths are mostly when I think of S4 as a player, he's actually one of the players I learned a lot from. He was the first player who would be like, okay, guys, we should wait till daytime to smoke because when our smoke pops during daytime, we see them first. He's a really big innovator along the Dota 2 scene. Of course, one of the original members of the Team Secret captain squad.
Yep.
So he has a lot of accumulated knowledge over the years. And I mean, I haven't talked to him recently, but I feel like he comes up with new stuff constantly whenever I talk to him.
Do you feel something similar about FNG, also considered an innovator back in the Virtus Pro days in his time?
Honestly, I just know a bit less about FNG.
That's fair.
I know he's a good captain, I know he's a good player, but I just don't have a personal connection with him as much.
That's fair. Effie, let's go to the other side on Beast Coast. Who is the innovator on that team, especially in the drafting phase?
Honestly, I feel like it's a bit of a team effort, but one of the players that enables the innovation is Chris Luck.
Oh, you think it's Chris Luck?
No, I think he enables the innovation.
Okay.
I don't know who the mastermind.
Can you elaborate on that?
I'm about to. Right, so Chris Luck is a player that will play anything mid. He will play anything. If they draft a carry Slark and they think, okay, this is a bad lane for Slark, Chris Luck just goes, give it to me. And he plays at mid. And just having a player who is so flexible in his ability to adapt to an overall gameplay change or some kind of hero that is unconventional mid makes it so that it opens up the draft for the other players. And I think that's one of their biggest strengths, actually. We've seen him on Snapfire, on Slark, on various support heroes. He's just a nice pillar to have, I think.
I completely agree with that. One of the things that I always remember about Beast Coast was I was talking to Quinn about them. And he was just like, Chris Luck doesn't have a hero pool, he has a hero ocean. I was like, excuse me? I looked at his games, and he just plays everything. I think that's what I like watching about Beast Coast. They're just a weird team. I play versus Whisper, and I click him, and he has Spirit Vessel, no other items on puck offlane. And he just they're really good at identifying what their win condition in the draft is. I watched their game versus I think maybe Vici, but they had a Troll versus a Razor. So they had their 4-position Tiny rush a 4-staff, which is very not normal. Normally you just go for the blink, so he could push him out of the link. And then Whisper on the offlane Mars, he went for Meteor Hammer, Arcane Boots, so he could get just a bit quicker Lotus Orb, and then they could protect their Troll. So they think as a team, how can we enable K1's game? Because at the end of the day, they're all they play sort of carry-ish, but after a certain point, all the resources go to Hector.
And in case you're wondering, and you're a Beast Coast fan yourself, you're like, who's actually drafting on this team? I have the answer for you. It's actually Stinger, who's the main drafter. He talks to Hector about his drafts, K1. And now with Papita, the inclusion has shifted as Hector now has to deal less with the drafts, only concentrate on his carry pool, and instead Stinger and Papita talk about the overall effects. So if you were curious, as we get into the draft, we have some unique picks, some picks that we have seen pretty decent win rate, but some unique picks, some picks that we have seen pretty decent win rate, but not very often, but a very Schofield pick on the Nyx Assassin here. What do you think of this Beast Coast draft to start off, Effie?
Well, when I see Sven, I think of K1. that's just a hero that fits his playstyle so well. He flash farms, he will hit his timings on time, and then he will steamroll the map with his team. So this is a hero that they are comfortable playing around, and they are comfortable setting up. He loves his Earth Spirits, his Earth Shakers, his Nyxes, and seeing the style of roaming, fighting for just makes me so fond of Beast Coast because a lot of the teams will just go for something more traditional and not that exciting.
Yeah, I feel like Beast Coast, you care about the tournament meta, but they don't let it force their hand, you know? Like Stinger Shadow Demon, I feel like he's played this hero 50 times in competitive games. And what I find interesting is that they chose to first suit Sven. I feel like before this match, they just went to Hector, like, what hero are you going to carry us with? And he's like, Sven, give me Sven. And they will design their entire game plan around this one hero.
Also, I would just like to add that it really does feel like Beast Coast play for their own personal enjoyment of the game. That's why they've never really felt like they had to force themselves into the mold that is the meta. They just play it the way that they like, and they impose it on other teams, and that's a very interesting characteristic of this team.
So right now, I think Beast Coast, they really need to try to match the team fight of Alliance. I think they're falling a bit behind because Shadow Demon, he's not really a team fighter. Same for Nyx Assassin. You're facing up against the Outer Titan. I think the draft, it doesn't look bad for Beast Coast right now, but I think they need something convincing. Okay, so this was their answer to Monkey King from Chris Luck mid usually, right? But I'm actually curious why they want Wind Ranger this game, because in my head, I don't think that lane is good versus Lina. I think Lina should do pretty well versus Wind Ranger. So maybe just like a comfort here, I'm not sure.
Can you elaborate on the Alliance draft first, actually? Because we talk about Beast Coast, but you talked about the strong team fight Alliance draft. Is that what you're seeing here?
I mean, I feel like this is like the stereotypical Alliance draft. Okay. Like you have S4 on a stunner, strength stunner. I mean, maybe Lina is a bit more unusual. Usually he would actually have been the DK, but it's not really meta mid. And you have like these Hanskin or FNG will play one team fight hero, I think, usually.
But I do enjoy this Lina pick because it tells me that Alliance are going to try something that has seen success, right? Because Lina is a hero that was rising to popularity, actually, when TA was popular, because she functioned in a similar way in that she could shove lanes, build the BOTs, and fight early, and scale all the way to the late game, all the while maintaining her farm. And she's kind of become even more popular during groups than other heroes that may have taken priority in the past. And I think it's really good that Alliance are able to identify this and try this, because if you don't do it now, if other things haven't worked, you have to try something new. And I agree with what AY said completely about this looking like an Alliance draft. Like, you have two tanky heroes, you have something that can just right-click from a distance.
5 seconds.
And I like the idea of their draft too. It's like ET plus a lot of long-range nukes here, right? Like if they see someone, I mean, there's a little bit of counterplay with Shao Jin, but honestly, it's not easy. If they DK stun someone, throw nukes with an ET Spirit from afar, it's very simple to play the team fights. You can sort of force Beast Coast to have to run into you and commit. And Effie, I think you were mentioning to me before that Beast Coast's lowest win rate was a lot against these big team fight heroes. I think Outer Titan should sort of fit that category, or what do you think?
I think it fits that category a little bit, but I do feel like this is a hero that they play a lot, so they understand how to play against it as well, right? But I'm really glad that you brought that up, because if you look at Beast Coast's bans, their first one is Tidehunter, and they have lost every single game they have played against that hero. So to me, that is very indicative of the style of Dota that they play and how they don't necessarily like to run into defensive lineups and just fight head-on, when they prefer to win their lanes and just go for picks with Schofield, centering that and just playing around Whisper.
So what are the weaknesses you think they should cover with this last pick on Beast Coast? You were doubtful about the Wind Ranger of it.
Wait, I think it's Alliance's pick now, right?
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so
yes.
Alliance, I mean, I want to see is Faceless Void. Oh, they banned Faceless Void. I would have said Faceless Void because it's Nico Baby, one of the best Voids in the game. For some reason, I was thinking of Slark for this series.
Interesting.
Like, if I was Alliance, I would have said the same thing to Nico Baby as they said to K1 on Beast Coast, I think. It's like, what hero do you think you will carry us in this game with? Like, the four of us, if I look at the game plan, you'll pick some stun, some long-range nails, be able to pick them off. But I think if you give Nico Baby map control on the hero that hits the timing, Spectre, okay.
So what are the strengths of this pick here?
I mean, he's really good for Shadow Demon, I think, right now. I think Spectre is primarily picked for the Falcon Blade into Aghanims build. When you use your Aghanims, I don't know what it's called, reality something. Mini Haunt? Sure, Mini Haunt. Shadow Step. Okay, it puts a dagger on them, and then there's a 15 dagger talent. So you actually double dagger the person that you go on. It's like a 700 damage nuke, which allows him to just blow up someone like a Shadow Demon or a Nyx. And Beast Coast actually end up going for the Sand King.
Okay.
I like this pick so much because earlier AI was mentioning that it doesn't really seem like they can match them in team fight, and by picking a team fight hero and enabling their ability to fight back if they need to, they have covered that with the Sand King. Also, he's a very good lane versus Spectre.
Okay, can you tell me the strengths of this Beast Coast draft?
They're gonna farm this Sven, and they're gonna run at the rest of the team with these 4 heroes, and they're gonna play for picks, they're gonna play for map control, and eventually when Sven hits his timings, they're gonna just barrel through.
Yeah, I agree with what Effie said. I think this game, still, it's all about how these offlanes are gonna go. DK and Sand King, they're gonna be the tempo controllers for both their teams. So I'm gonna watch those lanes particularly closely this game.
Okay, well, I'm gonna have to ask an expert in this matter, which is Beast Coast coach Mariano, previously known as Papita, as Sir Action Slacks has him, so I can ask him some valuable questions.
She's a ravage!
Said it, Beast Coast is the last hope for South America. Meanwhile, themselves on land. Elimination awaits Kyle, and they've both been here before.
Indeed, they have. In fact, Nico Baby was here last year, playing against this exact same roster when he was still with Mineski. Obviously, they lost that series 2-1, and I'm sure he would like revenge. And Alliance looking for a little bit of vindication because a lot of people thought they might find themselves here in a BO1.
Yeah, who would those people be?
Not me, but
fair.
Many. This team, incredibly strong online, has not had the same success on LAN, and I think it's just really interesting to look at the two personalities of these teams. You see them in the green room, Beast Coast dancing, having fun, enjoying themselves, and Alliance all serious. I actually talked a lot about this because to me, you know, I think the teams having more fun are likely more confident.
Sure, we take that principle from like OG, right? Yeah. 2-time TI winners. They have fun in the booth, and that shows inside of the game that they have some confidence, that they take away the nerves, right?
Exactly, and I agree. Loda, different philosophy. Just because you're serious doesn't mean that you're not confident. And you don't need to have fun to win games of Dota, but...
I mean, that's fair. That's the wisdom of a TI winner right there. So definitely you can take different philosophies to how you approach the Dota 2 game, but there is no doubt that nerves are going to play a hand here in a best-of-1 elimination, as it has for the last 2 teams, and it will right here as our bounties are about to come underway here. We're going to have a little bit of a split here. Early stun on FNG, just a bit of poke as the 2 teams will just split the bounty runes 2-2.
And I'm personally going to be keying in on Whisper because, yes, Sand King, one of his best heroes. I think he's been one of the best offlaners at this tournament, but matchup-wise, like, this is a hard Sand King game. Spectre Haunt cancels the blink. You're playing against a ton of disables, and Elder Titan as well. Very frustrating. If you catch Spirit before you're trying to blink in, all of a sudden it's on cooldown, and in addition, the hero dies after blinking in. It's the main issue with the concept. There's so much burst, and Alliance's lineup is incredibly durable as well. Limp with first 2 Lina. Should have a slight edge in the Wind Ranger matchup.
So it sounds like the Alliance, or excuse me, Beast Coast is going to have to make a priority in setting the initiation first in a lot of these team fights. Whisper's got a key component of that. Whisper, who has been honestly a star player for Beast Coast over the years, just incredible performances day in, day out by him, and he's going to have to give them one more in order to get out of the best-of-1 eliminations.
Yeah. They're going to need to play some pretty damn good Dota because their lineup is you know, it's a lot harder to execute because you're going to need so many more kills than your opponents to win the game.
Right.
If you look at the, you know, Sand King. Oh,
top lane. He want Hector in a little bit of trouble. He does have the very card for the Lions. He's not going to be the best. The first blood, the captain of Alliance manages to kill that all-important carry of Beast Coast. I mean, this is supposed to be their anchor. K1 Hector has had marvelous performances on lands. He was held as one of the best carries to look at TI9, and well, he's already dropped an early kill against a Dragonite lane.
This was their opening too, right?
Yeah.
How classic is that it's the S4 DK, the Alliance Dragon Knight, that scores the first blood. They rode this hero all throughout the DPC to a bunch of victories, so no surprise they take it here facing elimination.
Yeah, when they need it most, they go right back to what was most successful to them throughout the year. And they do have that, like, hard, let's say, durable carry in Nico Baby Spectre, which we just saw in the last series, right? It can really help you out to be able to know, just, hey, guys, relax. We have better late game. We've got this big carry that will eventually take over. It worked for Quincy Crew and Alliance. They're not losing their lane either. FNG looking for another kill here, but won't be able to find it. Schofield will sacrifice his own health points to keep Whisper alive.
Yeah, really, if you look at the three cores of Alliance, you can argue they all outscale the opposing core on the side of Beast Coast, which is why, you know, the South American side is really going to feel pressure to make moves and find kills. They're lacking in tower damage, they're lacking in sustained damage, so you really need these lanes to go well and break out of the laning phase early, start rotating around the map.
Yeah.
Like, Lena may have got slightly nerfed, but this is still... Schofield?
What is Schofield doing? I think he's just keeping him here a little bit while longer. Taunting him. Goes back to the tier 2. What is happening?
Yeah, I mean...
What? I've never seen that tactic before, Kyle.
Did FNG like Mango? Did he not expect him to have a spear?
I have no idea, but we saw the camera of Schofield. He didn't look particularly upset with that. Obviously intended for something to happen there. I'm not sure if feeding away the second kill to Alliance is the play, but I guess he does get a free trip, a free ride back to base. Hunskin being very offensive here, very impressive. As Stinger does manage to get a pull off, but he's not having a fun time, nor is really anybody on the side of Beast Coast. You can see top 2 CS going the way of Alliance. Limp is winning his matchup against Chris Luck, and this has got to be a little bit concerning, Kyle, because Beast Coast, they chose Alliance, right?
Yeah. And these lanes are not looking good.
That classic finale pop is doing so much damage, they underestimated. Nico Baby takes a huge chunk as FNG is closed, and they're going to keep going. They have the Burrow Strike, they have the nice healing salve to be able to tank up a few more tower hits. They just need a little bit more. Schofield's in, he takes away the healing salve. And that means Nico Baby is going to need some help from FNG. Schofield and Whisper, they don't want to let him keep a healing salve off. They're going to be able to find it behind the trees. Cut it out again. Miss out on the impale though, and Whisper has tended a little bit too far into the Alliance forest. They are going to be able to get a third kill now. I don't know what to say, Kyle. This is Beast Coast playing with a little bit more loose than maybe they should.
This is TI, right? It's a best of one. These things happen.
Yeah.
Whisper, I think they might get the kill on Spectre. He auto-attacked a creep twice trying to get a caustic proc. And you don't get the kill. I understand the reasoning, but then you dive tower into an Elder Titan TPing in. Oh, it's a big risk for little reward. And this mid lane, man, Limp, considered one of the strongest mid laners in Dota 2 for some time. The question is, how does he play his mid to late game? That's considered his weakness. But right now, this is a comfort hero for him. He is crushing this lane.
Hector getting a little bit close against, again, a Dragonite. I'm not expecting Hector to be so close to death against a Dragonite, notoriously a very low damage hero in the laning phase, just incredibly durable, but it looks like he's using that to be able to constantly hold the top lane, and he's dead.
What is, man, Alliance, what they hit their wings today or something? What? That's a solo DK.
And FNG just baited Whisper into a little bit of a duel.
To be this good.
And Whisper is going to walk away with very low health as Nico Baby has full control of the lane now. Top 3 CS all going the way of Alliance. They're killing it in this laning phase, Kyle.
Oh, yeah. I mean, K1, he's known for prioritizing his farm. Surprise, he maxed cleave. So they really know that whatsoever this lane.
They're relying on the Cossack finale to blow up Nico Baby, but instead, they just end up beating more and more deaths. Nico Baby's going to be able to pick up that second kill on Schofield, while top lane is losing out as well. A late TP is not going to stop S4. He retreats cleanly. 2,000 net worth lead at 7 minutes, Kyle. Beast Coast is supposed to be known for being able to show up to lands, just shrug off the nervousness that affects every single team, and yet they look like they're totally falling apart here.
Seriously, Alliance, you know, this is the dream for them, right? If they were going to show jitters, you figured to be in the laning phase, but so far they're dominant, and every player is on a comfort hero. They outscale, and the concern with Beast Coast lineup is, like, look at the damage output. They need levels to do anything.
Dude, Schofield, he's got to get out of here, otherwise he's just dead again as the dagger is incoming. Take away the sentry. Schofield will barely survive there. K1 Hector trying to do his classic farming creeps as he works his way back right in front of the enemy. But at TI9, when Chris Luck and Hector were doing that, it was cocky, it was fun, and it got into the heads of the opponents. Here, it just looks damn dangerous.
Indeed. And this is not pleasant for a Sven. Like, he's level 6, he's got to walk all the way back to base. You look around, you know, there's no stacks anywhere, not as if he really had the power to take them at the moment, but there's a Dragon Knight just pushing your tower. You nearly got a Blink Dagger on S4. You might have it by 10 minutes. Limp is closing in on BOTs. In fact, they're flying out to him on the courier. It's an insane time.
Another stomp. They do have an early dust after their success in the laning phase. FNG is able to afford a lot more than a 5 position normally would.
Feels good to be
as a result, Whisper is forced back once again. Top lane. We're gonna watch them go on to K1. And they're managed to get up that extra bit of armor with the Warp Drive before they go on him. So the punishment is minimized a bit. But the fact that Alliance can just keep doing this and keep chipping away at this tower, Beast Coast doesn't really seem to have a planned response just yet, as Chris Luck is going to head down to the bottom lane.
That's a product of the draft, though, Cap, because you don't... Sven, Wind Ranger, you need actual items to deal damage, and your two supports, you know, Nyx and Shadow Demon, you need ults. Like, right now, you offer very little in terms of damage or control. So S4 is just, like, tanking poison and just hitting tower. Chris Luck, he really wanted to get something down bottom, but you can see him, he's walking right past this ward. It showed him earlier as well. And Limp just solo kills Schofield standing
right in front of Chris Luck, and now the other support's going to die as well as S4 will actually back out, respecting Chris Luck's TP here. They're so far ahead that they don't necessarily want to be trading. Nico Baby, he's going to pop his ultimate and join in on the fray. He's going to go for Stinger. Stinger is certainly dead. S4 not caught just yet as the reinforcements from Alliance are here. Limp is going to join in on the fray, and that will allow S4 to get away from Chris Luck.
You can see this Alliance lineup is so dangerous, especially if Beast Coast play into the DK lane, because both Spectre and Lina can global in, and you're always going to want to take that fight. You're going to blow spells on my Dragon Knight with like 1 billion HP and armor. It's just not... It's not a successful strategy. They only have 2K. K1 has got a lot of space. It's a troubling game.
Is that space going to be enough? I mean, you talked about how they scale so well on Alliance, so Beast Coast have to hit some amazing window where the Sven feels strong. I don't know when that is. Does he have to wait for BKB? It feels like it with this Lina Lion. I don't know if he's going to be able to hit anybody before BKB.
Yeah, it's the offensive threat of Alliance, because their timings are just so accelerated because of how well this laning phase has gone. Because, you know, Blink is flying out to S4. He's going to be able to play with either support or with his Lina threatening that global bots in. And Nico Baby is halfway to Agnes. As soon as he had that up, suddenly you're effectively applying threat in all places. And the issue with Beast Coast's 3, 4, and 5 is that they're incredibly susceptible to just being jumped and 100 to 0. Wind Ranger as well, really, until BKB. Both cores need BKB.
Yeah. And most teams have been taking OG's lead when it comes to TI9 and the coin flip, when it comes to playoffs and who they're going to be choosing. But you said that Beast Coast, they apparently picked Alliance. They're very confident. They got to be questioning themselves now. Maybe they should have just relied on fate rather than their own decision making, because now a beautiful start is able to come in, and that is another dead hero. 9-2, Alliance just keep on heating up here. And a cold Romanian night.
Schofield, I think
he's going to go for Schofield. Schofield does have the spike here, but Hoskin is here on the other side. He's dead, and they could probably even deny the tower if they want to.
The thing is, we haven't really seen Beast Coast make a move yet.
No.
Alliance is just, they crushed the lanes. They've taken 2 T1s. And Beast Coast, they had placed a ton of early wards. They're very low on them now. They have 4 on map for that end of laning phase portion of the game.
So much here. This is a start. They pick up the Blink Dagger, the kill on skin, but they need to start getting more than just some support pickoffs.
To be fair, K1 is actually enormous when you consider the state of the game and how rough top was. He's actually catching up to Limp. 0 and 2, but still at 10 CS per minute.
It seems to be the mantra of K1, Hector, and Beast Coast teams in general. Hector, he'll be farmed no matter what happens. And the rest of the team just needs to be able to make some sort of successful team fights happen without him. Just needs time, more time, and they're going to smoke through over into the mid lane here, but that mid tower prevents them from being able to invade any deeper. So they're just waiting for somebody to show from Alliance, but you can see Alliance, they may have some idea of this. They're smoked, but they're not moving aggressively into the enemy side of the map. They're being very cautious.
I mean, Beast Coast, they're showing nobody but K1 just now in the mid lane, so they're very aware something might be going down. No reason really to push the envelope. Alliance are, they're stronger right now, but they can wait. Every minute that goes by, Nico's just free farming. And Aghanims on Spectre, BKB Lina, that's impossible to fight into, with the exception of Beast Coast getting a really nice opening from Schofield. He's going to have to find some angle to approach outside of sentry range, and then him plus Chrislock could theoretically explode the Lina before she's able to cast the spell.
And that's going to be our priority target, right, for Beast Coast. When they start fights, they can kill Limp first, then it's probably a good fight. If they go on the Dragon Knight or even the Spectre, it may not be so good.
And this just... Well, I thought Schofield was about to walk up the high ground. Would have been certainly his demise. And I like what Alliance have done. You see how they're placing these wards with sentries nearby? It's all to just find the Nyx as he walks up and down choke points.
Yeah. This means Alliance holds really nice control of both this mid lane because their tower is still up and top lane. They're going to go for Limp here. A good opening for Schofield, but Crystal... And now he's going to be caught. Nico baby immediately joins S4. A long range shot. Oh, the Earth Splitter. Just a bit shy. Whisper running interference and will give up his life to ensure that Chris Luck gets out, but it's another disaster for Beast Coast.
Oh, S4 almost caught Chris Luck on the end there. And that's, it's kind of a desperation move from Beast Coast. That opening comes onto Limp, but no one's even in range. Yeah, the shackle lands, but Chris Luck had to blow his win run to do that, which means that you just, easy counter-initiate, press Haunt, Dagger, chase him out of the fight, and Whisper, that's the trouble with his hero in this game. You can blink stun, sure, but then you're just a blink tranquil Sand King.
Yeah.
You die to reckless.
He is not going to keep doing a whole lot more. The best we can hope for is a decent epicenter and a good burrow. But he is not going to keep scaling at this rate. 4,000 down, Beast Coast going to go for a smoke here. But it just reeks of desperation, reeks of one of those plays where they feel like they have to make a move here. Schofield leading the charge. Hector, sentry on out, behind the tier 1 tower while Hector bangs on it.
None of cooldowns. Limp is so close to BKB. I don't think Alliance are really going to want to contest this. No Haunt, no big Ogre, no Earth Splitter, so yeah, split the mid tower, though. It's a really wise move.
That's smart, very smart from Alliance. They're ahead, they don't need to take any risks here.
Nico has his Aghanims.
Nice. Oh, that is a big Spectre. Shadow Step ready to join in all of these little skirmishes now. For all intents and purposes, this is a Spectre online.
This is the dream for Hanskin, for S4, because all of a sudden, your carry can just play with you. Anytime you're able to find a hero isolated, you've got so much lockdown. You've got a guaranteed Spectre on top with the double dagger damage. You can see Schofield, like, he's level 6, but he's got to play this aggressive. They have these great wards. He'd love to find Limp, but you know, with no one around him, who's going to execute this kill?
Yeah, he's scouting just for scouting's sake, and he doesn't even find this smoke. Alliance was a little bit too fast, and they are going to be able to capture his luck here. And even better, Nico maybe can be a part of the kill. Maybe he didn't take the last hit, but no. Shackle shot denies that. S4 finds it instead.
Yeah, Schofield is still tracking Limp. His entire ultimate just sticking on top of the Lina, but nothing doing there. I mean, when you first do this, Fen, you know what the Beast Coast strategy is. It was similar to their idea at TI9 when Hector was often the most farm player, whether his team was winning or losing. And once again, they're kind of giving him the keys to not just their hopes in this game, but the entire South American region. Beast Coast is the last hope, and it's all going to rest on their Sven's shoulders.
14-3, 17 kills a minute, most of them coming from the Alliance side. They don't need to, you can see just the way they're playing around the map right now. They're not necessarily trying to play on Beast Coast side. They're very happy just to keep the map split 50-50. They're gonna go for an Orchid next for Nico Baby, so these supports, and even Chris Luck himself is going to have a real hard time of things. And Limp, well, he now may be indestructible in these next team fights. If he does not get initiated on, which he might hear, BKB goes off first. He turns around, goes for Schofield. Schofield should be run down pretty easily. They're going to pop the hog here just to see, okay, is this a kill by itself, or can we get more? It's just the single pickoff.
A little skittish there from Limp, but he does get the BKB off in time. The concern, though, is Alliance just used a lot of cooldowns, and this is some breathing room for Beast Coast. Chris Luck, he's just a recipe away now from his BKB. 300, 400 gold.
Okay.
And it looks like K1, he's the same, 400 gold or so. So it would have been, like, Alliance, that was their big timing, and they got a kill on an Nyx Assassin.
Yeah.
The next engagement, you're going to have Beast Coast ready to go.
Nice reactions there from Whisper. Dust goes off, he immediately blinks himself away. Can't afford another death, otherwise he won't be able to pick up that Yule Scepter he's gunning for. There's the Maelstrom for Chris Luck, which means he is... Okay, never mind, sorry. He's breaking apart, yeah. So should be getting the BKB in a second like you were talking about.
But Alliance, I think the time is now to cross the river. And like they gave the mid tower, but they've been very reluctant to make any sort of aggressive plays on the map. And, you know, you're giving Beast Coast this window now. And a really strong spot. Both cores now with BKB. This is a totally different game. You even have a Yules on Whisper, so we should be able to survive for at least that secondary stuff.
Do you feel like this is the best hope for Beast Coast? If they want to be able to come back into this game, it's going to be off of this timing right here, right?
Yeah.
All right, that means the tension grows for Beast Coast. Will they be able to get the right kind of team fight open?
Keep in mind, like Nico Baby, his next item up is Orchid. That'll help him kill supports. But now all three cores have that defensive tool. And I think that's pretty accurate. Like, Alliance is ahead, but this would be more of like a 90 or 95% probability had they gotten team fight more wards aggressively in that window where they had all these first core items up and Beast Coast were still lacking them. Now all of a sudden it's really anyone's fight. Like, the gold advantage, sure, yes, Alliance is winning, but that doesn't mean that they can take a fight that isn't on their terms, especially if Beast Coast force it under either one of these ward sentries they place around the Roche pit.
That is an interesting proposition for Beast Coast. Taking a team fight around Roshan just enhances the rewards.
Yep.
They can win that, get themselves an Aegis, then all of a sudden they can be playing on Alliance's side of map, which is something they're going to have to do seemingly since Alliance are not willing to play forward. Beast Coast has to be the ones taking the first steps.
And what's keeping him, not only is K1 like one of the best farmers in Dota, like he's got almost 300 CS. Like he's a Sven playing a passive game against Spectre. So you're naturally going to get this net worth lead. And it spikes and peaks, I would say, in about 5 to 10 minutes. He'll have that Sanjin Yasha and then probably like the AC. And if he can hit the Silver Edge timing early enough, you eat Spectre for lunch. You remove Dispersion, you've got so much follow-up stuns, things get really spooky. And then I'm sure Fog knows if Stinger can ever get Aghanim Scepter.
Alliance strikes first. Beast Coast can't afford anybody else to get picked off right now, because if they do, Alliance may be able to just gun for Roshan themselves. A pick off on Whisper isn't a big enough opening for Alliance. Find S4 here, they're going to stop. He's running on the blink away, but he does manage to get off the BKB, turns around, just kills Schofield right away. They're going to go for more, actually using the Shadow Step to be able to jump in. They have the Orchid, but at the same time, Bring on the Shadow Step, that's the BKB, the full-on stun is not there. Let's get off the BKB, but the physical damage is tearing him apart. An unstoppable streak given away to Beast Coast, and they're going to look for more. Shadow shot just to close that distance. Echo Saber to be able to slow it down, but now BKB, Hector's in trouble. Earth Splitter hits. They do manage to get a nice 2 minutes from Hanskin. And FNG, he wants to be able to get this battle. Turns around, gets the shot onto S4. K1 Hector dropping a little bit on his gone strength is beginning to wane, and that's an opportunity. He hesitation, they see weakness, and they pound. They take down two. Whisper in the back line, hopes to get him support. They could have been. This is going to be S4. Nico baby. Hello. He's low. The Shadow Demon has got him dead to rights. Whisper's gone, and all of a sudden, Beast Coast, off of a death of K1 Hector, their primary carry from the ashes of his death, they managed to make a really nice closure to that team fight for themselves.
Oh, yeah, huge. They used both buybacks on supports, but they were so necessary. Incredible job from Stinger. You can see those Shadow Demon illusions are just eating Nico Baby apart, especially when he's afflicted by the Purge. Still an even fight. You can see Alliance, they're overcommitting with their spell usage. They used Finger and Haunt just for that opening kill. I'm going to watch the replay real quick. Nice BKB from S4, but I think if they can just take this kill and maybe get out, they're going to be okay. But there's going to be a buyback from Schofield in a moment. Yes, you kill Stinger, but now look at the positioning, right? Chris Luck, BKB, ultimate, there's no save on Alliance. So Olympic's just dead to rights. It'll take a little time, but there's nothing you can do to save him. And both of those support kills you just dove for are now right back in the action.
And Beast Coast, you can see they just kept on going. Very nice hits there from the two supports of Alliance. Honestly, they did a great job of keeping this fight going to their favor, keeping S4 out of danger for the longest time. Back inside the game, Whisper's going to be they've already taken down Whisper. The two-man shots keep raining in. They're going to be able to kill both Whisper and Schofield. And another BKB charge for K1 Hector used as well.
Yeah, and that is a big deal, really. It was changed. BKB used to go down to 5 seconds at its minimum. Now, of course, it's 6. But even that doesn't feel long enough considering how much disable Alliance is playing with. Yeah. You can see the big issue just with Whisper Sand King in this game. Like, fantastic player, but if he catches a stun, he's going to catch another one and another one, and he's likely dead before he uses an ability.
Glimmer Cape desperately needed for Stinger, because I just assume that he's going to be dead every haunt, right? Yeah. I mean, this Spectre does not want to get disrupted and purged.
No.
So if he could just pop a haunt, find that Shadow Demon, Orchid, he should just be dead. Maybe he can keep himself alive with Glimmer Cape at best.
Yeah. One thing to note, Limp is going for a less traditional item with the Link.
Okay.
Just trying to guarantee that he can get his BKB off, but it does mean his damage output will be a little lessened. I think we're used to seeing, Silver Edge, Daedalus's MKBs.
It sounds like to me you disagree with it a little bit. There is a lot of single target stuns on Beast Coast, though.
Exactly. Like, it saves him from the tanking, but my big concern is always that late in the game, it's a 5,000 item that the enemy or support, they buy a 4-stack.
BKB, Whisper used Spur Strike in order to get out. That is both a BKB and a haunt being used. Beast Coast, almost undoubtedly here, are going to be looking for an opening to be able to take another fight against Alliance. This is an opening for them, and Alliance need to be careful.
Really good smoke. They know it's an opening. Alliance have to be conservative here.
Vendetta leading the charge, Schofield. They have to be careful about where they move here. You can see Alliance, they're very aware of this move. And if Schofield can sneak his way around here, find an opening, that's going to be on FNG. Where's the rest of the team? They're going to go. Oh, they managed to get it. They managed to get the first on him as well. And here comes 1, 2, 3, and Limp, it's knocked out. FNG is going to be up next. Nicer splitter, but Alliance seem a little bit skittish about going back in as they should. No haunt on the Spectre, no reason to fight further.
And what a baller. Whisper, that is so confident. He blink, Yules to cancel and stun. So he's just a no man's land, trusting in his team to be able to finish the game.
Whisper is in again. The rest of his team are going for Roshan, and Whisper is like, I'm going to catch somebody from Alliance scouting the Roshan pit. And that's Dexter to be able to get control of this area of the map. They're going to leave Schofield behind as he's orchided away by Nico Baby. The rest of East Coast coming back. He's in pretty deep here. He got caught. Stuns going out, but he managed to get the infantry. BKB off, turns around. Chris Luck keeping his distance here. Whisper may be caught by this line. The Chief disables. He may never be able to get out of this one. Maybe he does. Charging in. It's met with K1 Hector, and down he goes. Limp is just now back, though, and Beast Coast are not going to be able to get the Roshan they were originally searching for.
I think you're okay with that. Like, the Aegis would have been a huge window for BC, but you did have to spend a buyback on FNG, and a huge streak just went to Chris Luck. S4 was worth 613 gold. Man, it's intense now. Like, the trouble, Alliance, it feels like their damage output is a little lackluster at the moment. All these items, defensive on the Lina, still yet to pick up a real damage item.
And that is the one thing about the Aghanims buildup of the Spectre.
Exactly.
It's amazing, no doubt, but it's not a strict damage item. It just increases your uptime with being able to join in on team fights. You combine that with the Lincolns, another non-damage item from Alliance, and I could see where this is kind of colliding.
These items are not really built to deal with the enemy cores. So the Orchid timing is great, but all 3 cores on Beast Coast have a way to deal with it. So your only real way to get like the value you require is if you can pick off the Shadow Demon at the start of the fight. That means your Manta's delayed, your Scotty's delayed, and the Sven will have an easier time for a longer time in this game as we approach the end of the mid-game. Still no Roche, it's 30 minutes in. Oh, now we DD.
Double damage on Lin. For Alliance, Beast Coast. This one Whisper's gonna be able to keep alive, and that's for being ripped apart by Chris Luck. The damage of the focus fire, it doesn't matter how tanky you are or if you've got the BKB. It's Chris Luck Wind Ranger, single target damage is off the charts.
And that, there's nothing you can do about that. Alliance have no save. Really heads up by Chris Luck. This is going to be his MO for the rest of this game. Utilize your BKB to kill somebody by just running next to them focus firing.
And when you say somebody, do we have specific targets in mind, right? We still, like, Lina's still a big target, but he's now got the Aegis. Do you agree with him going for S4 every fight? What do you want?
I think so. Well, he rushed the MKB. Those procs, of course, deal magical damage, but he also got the Mind Breaker. So it's an extra 25 magic stack per hit.
Oh my god. So that is such a good neutral item for him.
It is the perfect neutral item, especially in this game. Because it also means that, you know, you pop on somebody, all these Alliance heroes have stuns, that spot silence will really frustrate somebody like Hanskin.
Well, they don't call him Chris Luck for nothing, as Beast Coast is going to back up and probably look for another smoke here. This item build from K1 Hector, we talked about the potential of Silver Edge. Really good against Spectre, really good against Dragonite. Hector here has a different idea. He's going for, like, the Satanic build up first, just Crystals into Satanic. What do you think?
It makes sense, right? He kind of is like the sole damage dealer and the frontliner. Whisper and Chris Luck kind of need him to be making this chaos and putting attention onto himself.
Oh, Stinger. Thought he had an opening there. Doesn't get the demonic purge off on Limp, and maybe it's for the best anyway. Again, Lina does have the Aegis, as Alliance have been recognizing the priority targeting from Beast Coast. 1,000 net worth lead for Alliance, but it's closing down a little bit. They've been in control of the game this entire time after that disastrous laning phase for Beast Coast. I'm a little bit concerned for Alliance now.
Just because, you know, look, Beast Coast, their flaw in the laning phase was being a little too aggressive. Looking at you, Schofield.
Yeah.
But they've kept that mentality even after getting washed in the laning phase, so...
Trying to get aggressive though, and a big being able to kill this Shadow Demon opens possibly. Spectre be able to get in. K1 Hector's only taking too much damage. But he's got the Satanic. If he can just get some swings in, look at the Spectre die! K1 Hector is supposed to be the carry, and he doesn't actually get any hits in. Finally turns into neutral for a little bit, but he's running. That's not the way to K1 Hector, he is stuck in a dead end, and he is going to die here. Alliance corral him, kill him, and now chase for more. Next up, Schofield, chain stuns very easily. A nice little cherry on top to a good team fight for Alliance.
That was an intimidation buyback by Hanskin. He had no TP, so he wasn't actually relevant when he came back into the game. Forced the rest of Beast Coast heroes away, because Lips BKB had faded. Nyx has his stun, Chris Luck has all the abilities. They were just a bit low and afraid of Hanskin coming back.
I mean, that sound is terrifying, right? When you hear the buyback sound from an enemy, and especially when you're on their side of the map, where they can so easily rotate. You can definitely see how Beast Coast just wanted to call it quits there. But this initiation from Alliance looks so good. Being able to kill Stinger, the damage they got on K1 Hector, and then kiting him off the Satanic.
Look at the awareness. The Shackle gets both heroes.
Oh my god.
There's nothing you can do.
Too. That is so sweet.
And now the thing, those earlier fights, if you remember the one that they took when the support spawned back in their tier 2 mid, you know, he missed every shackle. If you start hitting these 2 hero shackles, something like in Whisper, he had his stun. Schofield had his stun, but they were just too afraid. And it makes sense. No Satanic, no BKB, spend on this waiting. Probably better to cut your losses, but...
You're just going to listen to K1 Hector and Chris Luck, who probably are both saying, like, we've blown our ultimates. We do not want to keep looking for a fight. Lincoln's up next for Chris Luck. You can see a slight difference in philosophy. Chris Luck focusing on damage first, then going back through the Lincolns. It doesn't really seem like damage is a problem for him, even against the tanky Spectre. I've been very surprised how well his damage just works against this Spectre. It's just insane.
And that's why it'll be interesting to see if he goes for the Silver Edge or the AC next. AC is going to help his Wind Ranger. Silver Edge, you know, especially against heroes like DK Spectre, you suddenly have the burst if you can catch them. And I think that might be the direction he goes, just because Alliance, they're really suffering just because they have there's no save. Do they have a Force Staff on anybody yet? They do not. Like, if somebody gets stunned pre-BKB, like, they're going to sit there until they're either dead or finally able to get spell immune.
Right. S4 does hit a really nice timing right now, though. He's got his Aghanim Scepter, and he's level 20. He's got their 20+ strength, so Black Dragon online. S4 knows that, like, they're not going to be able to rely on the Spectre and the Lina alone to be able to carry these fights, so he's going to make sure that he scales well into the game, and he's going to build into an AC next. This is good for Alliance. I think it gives you a little bit more like, okay, these fights have been kind of messy. We got such a good lead, but it's fine. We still have this really sick late game, right? No matter what happens in these fights, we can keep going late because all of our carries are gonna scale.
And you can see even in the network, like Chris Luck, is solo killing Nico Baby, right? Even though
support's gone, and Beast Coast are out, and Alliance now feeling themselves really nicely. One of the first fights we've really seen them take on Beast Coast side of the map, and they're actively taking objectives. Alliance feels like they're full of confidence now.
The supports can't save themselves. Schofield has Aghanims, but if he's not set up, if Alliance can just press their buttons like that, the Haunt giving full vision, there's just nothing you can do about it. Yeah, the Glimmer Cape is nice, but they're gel on S4 now.
Hanskin, he gets the Force Staff you were looking for, so they're going to have a little bit better saves to be able to keep some of their heroes alive when they get single targeted by this Chris Luck Wind Ranger. They're going to go for the Shadow Blade now, so it is going to be Silver Edge pickup for Sven, it seems.
Yeah.
They've got it now. Level 25 is not that far away. If you're Alliance, are you okay with chilling right now?
You're okay with chilling, but you've just it's concerning. You know, when you don't have Haunt, it feels a lot more dangerous to be out on the map.
Yeah, and you can see maybe that's why they're playing, well, they were playing a bit conservatively, but now potentially challenging here.
They have gems, so they'd love to play around their vision. It's a very tense game at this point because of the nature of these two teams' lineups, right? Sven Windranger, incredible burst damage, and Alliance, you know, same deal. If they can find a hero with a stun, they're going to collapse with both Finger and Laguna. Like, that first hero will die. Yeah. It's all about advantageous. You can see both teams now just camping a ward. Vision and Initiation will likely decide who wins this next engagement.
In which case, if initiation for a team fight is the most important thing, Alliance will always have the advantage, right? No matter how late the game goes.
The danger is because it's the Windranger and the Sven factor. You're going to have a Silver Edge Sven. If he gets a stun off, especially if he goes for the talent at level 25, like, that hero is just going to die. Same goes if Chris Luck finds any guy with a shackle.
Yeah. Actually goes for the Stormhammer stun duration.
Yeah, I like that a lot, because you're just trying to utilize the full duration of the Silver Edge. Before that hero, you go for Pop Speaker.
There's a big item, pick up BKB for the Spectre. So when you picked up Silver Edge, and then you see the Spectre not only has that Manta, but also now has a BKB, I'm not sure how happy he's going to be about this item pickup, but it's something you kind of had to do.
Yeah. It's also just so value now on Sven, the change.
Oh, this is a very interesting position. Base Coast is on either sides of this. There goes the Hunt. Two-man stuff. Opening on Nico, baby, but Nico pops on. Jumps over to the support. Kites out the Sven beautifully. Execute Stinger. Those two are down for the score. Okay, turn around. Course turn around. Nice shadow shot. Give K1 Hector some time to lay some damage in, but ultimately, these two are left alone with a swarm of heroes around them. Chris Luck is going to be caught shackle shot at the last second, will not save his life. And Hanskin, he wants a little bit more. K1 Hector, Silver Edge on out. Alliance will pull back, see if Roshan's up. Unfortunately for them, it's not. So Beast Coast will have a chance to contest.
Oh man, if we can see that back. Shadow Demon dies because he's running in range with this old sentry on the high ground. Otherwise, he's going to live and pop his purge. It's one of those replays. It's going to make you cringe because you just die because there's this weird sentry that nobody noticed. Really nice plays there from Alliance, though. A matter of seconds, like Nyx, if you get the stun off before the BKB, S4's probably this day. If he does BKB, he stuns you, and suddenly you're caught in no man's land.
Yeah.
The MKB on them very effective because now he can just go toe-to-toe with Chris Luck.
Yeah, the old veteran of S4 has been reacting beautifully.
Yeah.
We haven't seen him, I think, caught out by a stun first. Always getting off his BKB before the impale or the...
Like, that was just so sick. Nico, baby, he goes up to the SC, and you can see the sentry that's getting him killed. But, like, that should be a dead Spectre. Instead, he collects a Shadow Demon, TP's base, he's able to come back into the fight.
Yeah, really sick by him. And being able to use the utility of that Shadow 760 here, he's back. Okay, he's got enough health to be able to survive. Chris Luck can't do a damn thing to him.
Yeah.
Alliance, another Shadow Step. Every single time, Beast Coast probably jumping out of their skin when they hear that noise. This K1 a blank magic damage, throw it in, and K1 Hector is dead. They're getting there, they're gonna find more, and it's more. He's here, goes up, but maybe a little bit too deep. He's got his BKB, no, coming thick and fast, he has too much for him. Nice stuff coming up. Up next, FNG is gonna be disrupted. K1 Hector is gonna find this kill, but Alliance, they're okay with this. That was a buyback from the Sven, a win condition. Clear as day. Available for Alliance now.
This is the game, though. You're fighting in the road pit against the Nyx Assassin with Aghanim. This is what Beast Coast wants. They're going to smoke. There is the buyback on DK. 3 heroes now without buyback.
Instead of holding their ground around the Roshan pit, they get into the triangle here. Alliance are going to actually read maybe some of this. They're moving to the right. S4 positioning himself between his team and the rest of the enemy.
FNG's going to know.
Spirit. So many heroes. He knows they're all near. The Hunt is going to go out. They're going to be able to initiation. The Rosh right goes out, but it's not actually hitting K1 Hector. He's way far away from some heroes. Chris Luck is going in, but S4 look at that. He gets out of the team fight. K1 Hector turns around with this Satanic. He'll dump up the full. Whisper may not be so lucky though.
shot. You need to do like a shot.
One hero down. Next one coming up for Chris Luck as he's trying to get away desperately, and he just might. But Alliance flying high over the trees, flying high over the haters, will be able to find that next kill. No buyback on Wind Ranger, no buyback on Sven. Alliance is free to do whatever they want.
That was insane. So FNG had a spear in the Roche pit, so they knew this whole time they're doing something weird. Haunt just gets popped for vision. Whisper goes in, one's canceling everybody's blink daggers. Nobody can follow up. Limpet just on the machine gun. The Sky pick up huge because he's just kiting the Sven. K1.
You go for throne here, Kyle. Hell yeah, you go for throne. Hell yeah, you go for throne. Alliance, are they going to do it, or are they going to play conservatively? They know they've got a full minute. Whisper is looking to be able to cut the creep waves. He has to. Right now, and they're going to make sure to punish him. He may have taken away the creep wave, but it will cost him his life. And that just means another hero gone for 2 minutes.
They know this for a fact. Sand King and Sven both on cooldown. Chris Luck could have it up, but he's out of gold.
Backdoor protection is up, but a creep wave is on its way, and nobody from Beast Coast is in position to be able to interfere. You can see Ponskin bodyguarding this creep wave, ready to make sure if anybody tries to stop it, they'll be able to get the punish. Backdoor protection down now, 2 lanes of barracks. Alliance looks like with 2, they're just going to try and go for the trifecta here and make it mega creeps, but a team fight will be ensuing. 15 seconds for the Sven. Beast Coast, if they have a hold of this, they're just going to have to hold the line back. Disruption first, and it's more BKB. Got the BKB again. Really well done. Making turn to go for the next assassin. Chris Luck will be able to pick up the one on the Hall again, but he's got the buyback in now. He does right damage. Hector needs to be able to do so much with this gun, but he may not do a damn thing. Activate the BKB. Going up, but the damage is just draining it from the BKB. No much. 2 buybacks from Beast Coast, but they do not have the heroes to hold this run. Alliance, you want to pick us for an elimination match in a best of 1. You want to try and take us down. You think we're the weak team. Alliance finally proved themselves in the hype moment. They finally proved themselves on the biggest stage. Alliance get a win in playoffs here in 2021.
And there we go. This is the first time I've seen them smile all week, but they earned it. What a match. They dominate the lanes. They come through in the clutch. Shout out to Limp. My man played out of his mind. Ends the game with 30,000 gold. Nearly the rampage. Oh, unbelievable. He crushed whole game. Laning phase, mid-game, these later on team fights. I think the Scotty pickup just huge, but man, that's big. That's big. It's beautiful. Nico Baby gets his revenge. And Alliance, they get their first huge win on land.
That's right, and that could just be the confidence that they need to be able to keep a nice lower bracket run going for Alliance. Really nicely done by them, and we've got so many storylines come to a head here, and that's why we're going to take a bit of a breather and go over to our panel.
we lose focus and suddenly the whole game turns around. And after that, I think we weren't able to bounce back properly, like mentally. But looking back at it, I think we lost more to ourselves than anything. I'm very confident, like if we had to replay every single one of those games, we would probably win 3-0. So
why?
Yeah.
What would you what would you do differently?
Just be stronger mentally, really. Like not let certain things affect us, and also like handle in between serious time a little better, like being more together, like yeah, just some small things that add up, I think.
When you say handle things better, is one of those things if somebody puts a question mark in chat?
I don't know. Honestly, it doesn't bother me. I don't care that much about this stuff. I don't think any of us really cared. Nobody even mentioned it, actually. It was just funny to see it afterwards. Yeah. You're playing a best of 5 finals. Like sometimes you don't notice these things. At least I don't. So it was just funny and a little random, I guess.
The memes didn't seem to slow them down on the road to June's Anna Major. Despite having a tough go in group stage and starting in the lower bracket, EG once again found themselves in a grand final. And once again took second place, this time versus PSG LGD.
I think the funny thing is this major is like kind of the opposite for us compared to Singapore major. We started from the lower bracket and then we had to like make a very long climb to the finals. We were put in a pretty bad position and a lot of the games were like elimination games for us. But mentally we were much tougher this time, which I hope kind of showed. And I'm very proud of my team for that. Like we were able to make like almost an impossible climb, right? So this is not the case of losing to ourselves that much. I think it was LGD played really, really well. They were definitely the best team of the tournament, like no doubt in my mind. We were pretty exhausted at the end. We ended up playing like the finals started like 10 at night. I don't want to be like... make excuses, but the conditions were not that good for us to play in. And I think it kind of showed.
We have talked before about the third place curse. We're not in a second place curse now, are we?
Well, if we manage to break from the third place to the second place, it's kind of good, right? Because eventually we might reach first. If the curse is real, maybe the curse will be lifted at the right time.
Maybe it is indeed, and indeed, Evil Geniuses, they ran through that entire lower bracket at the Anna Major, and they made it all the way to the grand finals. They're going to have the same path ahead of them here if they want to reach those grand finals, because they find themselves in the lower bracket, despite all of my NA colleagues kind of feeling like this was their year. We're going to talk about some of that here. I've got a fresh panel. We got Fogged, we got Moxie, we got BSJ, and Fogged. I want to hear your opinion first, because Evil Geniuses, they come into this tournament, they got Dr. K with them, and everybody thought, you know what? This feels right for them, and this feels like they can just take it all.
Yeah, I feel like most people have always looked at EG as this team of stability, of, you know, getting through laning phase and all that, and always having a good chance in almost any game. Never do they really just get smashed or anything. But now we got here, they got Dr. K, you're mentioning, and actually they seem to be having more trouble than usual. A lot of inconsistency coming out from them that I don't believe most of us expected.
No, a lot of trouble indeed. Let's see what the deal is with Elephant, because they also had some trouble. We're going to hear Casey talk to the captain.
Team Elephant has some of the most seasoned veterans in Dota history, yet they found themselves having to play in the Chinese qualifiers for a shot at TI-10. It was a challenging season just heading into the TI qualifiers as they battled through the lower bracket to face eHome in the grand finals. Even a team of seasoned pros found themselves wondering if they could do it, no one more so than their captain, Somnus.
你或者是你的队友有没有想象过，你们万一不能进 TI 是一个什么样的场景？有担心过吗？
也不能说没想过吧，只能说是做好了那个的心理准备吧，就是觉得是基本上是肯定可以出的，因为。不管是我们跟他们的训练，然后还是我们就是平时的状态啊，然后还有这个比赛我们状态慢慢就是越打越好，然后感觉赢了也是理所应当吧。
The team's confidence seemed to be a work in progress all season. After one especially tough 2-month run with a win rate, according to Somnus, of around 20%, he posted this to his Weibo account. Where should the lost elephant go?
然后当时这条微博发的时候，其实就是士气很不振奋。慢慢的赶回来，其实感觉 还是就蛮感激我的4个队友，还有我们教练，然后还有我们的管理层吧，他们也一直在努力寻找一些问题嘛，然后最后证明他们也是成功了。你对一件事情你拿出自己的态度了，你才有可能成功。就是一旦你懈怠了，其实你跟别人差距会越来越小，然后别人甚至会超过你这种。所以其实就是我相信，其实现在队里面大家也都懂了吧。
His perspective comes from years of experience that includes playing on the biggest Dota stage in the world. And still, for Somnus, the Aegis has always remained just barely out of reach. A third-place finish at TI5, fourth at TI7, closer still in TI8 with second place, only to lose in those epic grand finals versus OG. And TI9, once again, third place. It makes the prospect of winning it all that much more meaningful.
最终如果有机会拿下 TI10 的冠军，你会设想一下你大概是一个什么样的现场的反应吗？毕竟这个冠军曾经离你真的很近过。
其实想过很多次呀，这种夺冠之后，因为说实话，其实如果今年能夺冠的话，我们这一路走过来挺坎坷的，从2个 major 打不了，到打那个预选赛，然后还掉到败者组，然后最后出线，然后真的夺冠了的话，肯定是会跟队友抱一抱吧。
You don't need an excuse to get a group hug, by the way. You can just get those. You should be able to get those whenever you want if everybody is, of course, safe. And I think Elephant, being here in this lower bracket, it is quite the surprise if you look at the pedigree of all the players, Brian. It's mad. Why aren't they doing so hot, though?
I'll honestly highlight Eurus during the laning or during the group stage. I feel like the job of the carry this patch is to be stable, reliable, and just honestly get a ton of farm. Seems like that'd be the case every patch, but I feel like it's even more so this patch. And he was just making uncharacteristic overextensions where he's trying to push their limits, and you'd see him diving tier 3s when they're still tier 2s. So if they can just rein back maybe a little more discipline like the other Chinese teams, I think they're quite solid.
Just get a little bit more control. It seems so simple. Control is going to be the name of the game, I believe, for the entire series. And yes, the entire series is one best of one, and it is time for that one to get on the way. So let's welcome on Evil Geniuses and Elephant. Team Elephant will take the stage here at the International 10, a team of absolute superstars. Every single player having walked this stage before, several times. This is just your average Tuesday for these players. They're just here to play a little Dota game. It's all good. The question is, will all these singular parts, these singular superstars come together to create that one behemoth that we know Elephant can become? We will see if they can. They have gone through the gauntlet of the group stages with a little bit of success here, a little bit of rough patches there, but the most important thing is that they have learned lessons along the way. RTK, of course, there also to lead the charge of the drafting sides of things. They need just one thing, and that is an opponent, a worthy opponent. It's coming right on stage right now. It is Evil Geniuses. Evil Geniuses in what looks like brand new jackets, by the way. Looking good as they walk on this TI10 main event stage. The last couple of times we saw them on a stage, they were in the grand finals, both majors, they made it all the way. They start in the lower bracket this time around, but we know they can do it. We know they have it in them. Again, these players on this stage, Evil Geniuses are full of individual superstars. They are veterans in the scene. They are veterans on the TI stage. Nerves? don't know what that is. I don't think they have them. I think we are going to be watching the best Dota we have watched today. Almost. Maybe. There's a lot of great Dota that's being watched, actually. But this is definitely going to be taking the cake. We saved the best for last, in my opinion. And also, I think we should highlight the coaches of both squads. Of course, we have veteran Bulba on the side of Evil Geniuses, but Moxie, ROTK, another veteran on this stage.
Yeah, it's actually a huge deal for Elephant because a lot of the Chinese fans say, you know, these are excellent players, right? These are all-star players, but the problem that comes up is that they just were saying they don't have a leader. They need a leader. They need someone who's going to be able to take charge, tell them what to do. And who better than ROTK? This is a very famous coach. But also they had a little back and forth about this too, because originally I think they tried to hire ROTK. They didn't have it at the time. Then they finally got around to it after their investor, PDD, not to be confused with PPD, ended up, hiring ROTK, but then they had some instability. They didn't quite make it to the Animajor, and that's when people started comparing ROTK and Shao 8. Which it was a bit rough.
A bit rough indeed. Their DPC season overall for Elephant, it hasn't looked the cleanest. And in case anybody missed some of those games, we have put together a highlight for you of Elephant during the DPC season.
Cold feet all procs with the shard. They've got themselves the totem. They get the kill on Ame. They look over at the rest. Innocent trying to run. Oracle in some trouble.
Where's the Ravage?
Beyond, he's slowed up, but he still does have Ravage. We're going to set it up. There it is. Ravage comes in. Sun is locked up. Fissure comes out. That's going to be auto 4. And he get anything down. There's the Echo Slam.
It's mostly because I hate power. I hate double damage runes in late game, to be honest. If you have the bottle, just changes everything.
They're coming over to the side. Oh my god, Yang! Five-man Ravage! He was preemptively ready for that one. X-Nova goes down, and now they're going to use the Sogies. They've got the Supernova. Is this going to go in for the side of Vehicle? It's not looking likely, but they might be able to get the kill on the Summon, so use the Going Blade to get the kill. Supernova goes off. They look over at Yang. Eurus is going to join the fight. They get the disarm out of the Medusa. Icarus dive away. FY on this. They're going to lose the Medusa. Silent into rights on the screen already, and FY leaping forward, but on the other side of the fight, they've got the right clicks coming into Chalice.
Immediately buys a Desert. So he's like, okay, got the sack, so let's get some damage output. He had some Satanic queued up earlier.
Two instantly morphling obliterated. Somnus as well. He's ripping apart the Mars. They don't have buybacks. They need to try and get out of here, Magma. But they're looking to fight. As Dust, he waveforms in aggressively. He's only got 2 heroes in the backline. And Elephant, they've got the numbers advantage. Another blink forward skewer. Morphlings in no man's land. Drag back, he's down. 120 seconds on the deck. They find Lunar. Another catch from FY's roll and Magma. Oh, what a disastrous fight for them. The buyback on this Brew once again as he's got himself that second primal split. They don't want to allow them to get this Aegis inside the pit. The wall still down. FY Acorn shot as well as the Bushwhack. They won't be able to get the landing there. But now Time Walk in trying to get the Aegis. It's still on the deck. It's still on the deck. And it's snatched by Eurus. He finally picks it up. They've got the Cold Embrace that's going to come out into Exim. So he'll survive for a little bit longer with the static link out onto Eurus. And now the Plasma Field. One more, 2 more right clicks. Not going to be enough to get the kill on the Peaceful Void just yet. But they look over now at Super, who's within the cogs. They get the kill to X-Nova, and it is Yang doing so much with this fight. Moving forward is FY Acorn shot, time dilation out into XM, throwing them up, and Chalice trying to do what he can to save himself with this Razor. Chalice, Surge, as well as the Vacuum. Does he have enough? It's not looking likely. He's held on to this Aegis throughout the entire fight. They're going to go in on this. They're already going to look. Terror Wave coming through on a Sylar. He's trying to stand his ground on the Lucent Beam. He's forced that back. He's got the Cold Embrace on the back line, so they look over at Fate. Out of this qualifier. It's a full team wipe, and Elephant will qualify and book their ticket to TI.
Yeah, Elephant had to qualify to get it to TI 10. On the other side, you got Evil Geniuses. They made it on points. They were the first team to qualify on points, the #1 in the whole DPC league, Fogged, yet they are here in this lower bracket.
And that's where we have to get back to that bit of inconsistency from EG, where we really just expected powerhouse domination, especially in early games, but I mean, there really has just been so much weakness really from them that I know people, because people are holding them to such high regard.
Yeah.
They really didn't think that, I didn't expect either of these teams to be here, so.
I don't think anybody did. It's actually crazy when you're doing your research, you're like, okay, this is this person, 8th TI, 9th TI, 7th TI, and all those TIs, high ratings too, Moxie. It's not like they came last at every, it's almost all have at least one top 6 finish.
Yeah, you know, I'm going to be honest. I packed an Evil Geniuses shirt because I was like, man, this is looking like, you know, the top 2 is going to be PSG, LGD, and EG. And now I'm like, well, I have it with me. Maybe I'll sleep in it. I don't know.
Oh, maybe they're going to make it all the way. We know they can do that. They've done it before, Brian.
Yeah, I'm still on the same boat as Fogged, because the consistency thing. Throughout the entire DPC, they looked amazing at the majors. Obviously, they didn't manage to take first in either of them, but second place in both. They had the highest DPC points at the end of the season. And for instance, against teams like Undying in the NA DPC, they crushed them consistently, and then they end up losing the deciding game to Undying in the 16th game of the group stage to be where they're at right now. So they've definitely dug their own hole, but I still believe. I'm still bleeding blue for this game.
All right, we just saw Ice put on his headset now with Team Aster eliminated. He is the oldest player left at the International 10 at 31, an absolute veteran, and he is also the most recent addition, Moxie, to this Evil Geniuses squad. How do you feel like he's fitted in so far?
I think it really depends on the game some days, but like the guy said, it's a little bit with the inconsistency. Sometimes, you know, Ice can just strap the team to his back, make enough space so that way Artur can get what he needs, and sometimes it's a little hairy, honestly.
For me, I really like him just because I feel like he opens up Crit to do whatever he wants. Because Ice is such a polarizing player that he ends up, any team that he's on, teams are always just going to be like, oh God, we got to watch out for Brood, we got to watch out for X, like so many different things. I feel like that allows Crit to be more open because he's laning with him most of the time, so he ends up being able to move, because also Ice is a bit of an independent player where you can leave him alone on an island. So I think he's meshed really well with this team.
And if we compare that duo, the Ice Crit duo, with a duo for Elephant, which is Yang and FY, Brian, how would you describe that?
I would say that they're a lot about the teamfight combinations. I would say for the duo of EG, it's more about the peskiness of the laning phase, but for Elephant, it's more like we're going to see a lot of these like Mars Phoenixes and such, where they're going to more bank on, I don't really seen them be dominant out of the lanes. They're more so an even or behind, where they're playing more like Vici, but a little bit less refined.
I want to talk about this mid lane. I'm sure that you guys saw a stat coming out on the mid lane. There were in the group stages 9 kills on the 1v1 mid. 6 of those, maybe. Somnus M, sorry. Maybe Somnus M, he was responsible for those kills, Fogged. How is this guy doing that?
Like I said, there's just been some very disheartening games. The last one that I actually got the cast for them, it was maybe Somnus versus Nothing to Say mid. He solo kills him mid. He ends the game 15-4-12 with like 30 Bloodstone charges. He's been playing out of his mind, honestly. Like most of these games also I'm watching, I'm like, how did he lose after this performance? And I want to touch back to what Brian was saying was about consistency from the carry. I've seen a couple weaker performances from Eurus than what we used to see. Because when he was, paparazzi, of course, a couple years ago, the consistency was the name of his game.
Yeah, I think a lot of people at home, the Elephant squad, sure, it's a new organization, but all these players you know already, and quite a few of them, including the coach RTK, were of course in Vici Gaming that came top 6 last year, where even though, everybody's like top 6 is a good placement, they were utterly disappointed. Like that was failure for them. So coming into this TI, They, of course, have high expectations once again. I wonder, though, do you think, Moxie, now that that's Elephant, they've not been doing too hot in their region, do you feel like them being in this lower bracket is something that they are very disappointed with?
I think obviously, no one really wants to be in the lower bracket.
Sure.
In all honesty. But I also think it's one of those things where, we've seen so much regional Dota. And regional Dota is completely different in some ways, right? Because, China was one of those regions everyone was watching. I remember getting into the shuttle in the morning for DPC, and Fog would get in and be like, they're doing some weird stuff in China again. Like, I'm trying to figure it out. Skywrath Mage, blah, blah, it's great. But it's one of those things that once you get to the international stage, you need to be able to adapt. You need to be able to adapt quickly, especially if the meta's changing. You don't have that whole week like you do for DPC. And also, some of these teams are used to playing against each other, and you get miniature metas, right? You get, when you've been scrimming against a certain team, they like this particular thing, so we have to watch out for this. But there's just, every team is so different. So it's a little bit, like I said, it's different when you're not in the region and you know each other quite well and you've been playing each other. This is just a whole bigger stage. It's TI.
Yeah, so let's talk improvement, because normally when you see the improvement of these teams, sure, it's throughout the bracket, but most of the improvement is being done on the fly during the group stages, right, Brian? Do you feel like these teams are playing different from the first game to last game of the group stages?
I don't really, out of all the teams in the group stage, these are two of the least developed throughout the course of the group stage. Pretty much what I saw at the beginning is what I saw towards the end. Maybe slight tweaks in their adjustment to the meta, but if anything, a team like EG, they kind of fell off towards the end of the group stage. They were looking almost guaranteed to be upper brackets. So coming into this, I'd say momentum certainly not on their side.
Would you say the same thing for Elephant Fog? Because I see you nodding along with what Brian's saying.
I just wouldn't think that momentum's on their side, because the way that they ended the group stage, they had that close game where they were playing versus LGD, then they lost in 16 minutes and 50 seconds afterwards.
Yeah.
Then they got 2-0'd by Quincy. And I know this team, they have super high expectations for each other, because they created this team because the powerhouses of LGD, and they pick up like Yang and everything, and they make this super strong team. This team is very critical when they start losing. And they do tend to get a little vocal and a little angry with each other at times. So we'll see if it ends up dragging up into this one. I can imagine not, because I'm sure ROTK comes in there and he lays down the hammer when they start yelling at each other. And he's like, don't get mad at each other, get mad at me. He probably takes the responsibility. So hoping that they bounce back in this one and we have a really close game.
Well, they call him too. Like, he's actually got like, they all have nicknames, right?
Yes.
But like, the big thing that they call ROTK is Lao Duizang, which means old captain. Like, you don't disappoint the old captain. You don't want to do it.
You don't want to do it, but he does give those pep talks in between series. Really nice, really good. They're about to head into a best-of-1. This is needing some speeches right after draft, Brian.
Yeah, it sounds like neither of the two teams have momentum, so I would just go with the team that comes back with the best from having the least amount of momentum. That's what I'm. Does that make any sense?
No, it does not.
I tried to give a coherent thought, but basically, what team can turn little momentum into the most results?
Make something out of nothing.
That was
right?
the best one-sentence summary of whatever I just said.
Okay, well then I'm gonna just straight up ask you, who do you favor?
I have to go with EG. I refuse to believe EG is going to get second in both majors, first in the DPC points, and then drop out first bracket. But then first round in the lower bracket. But then I see Elephant. I mean, I swear, like looking at these rosters, it's painful. Like every time I think of one of these teams going home.
I switched my bracket like 40 times last night.
Yeah.
I ended up with Elephant at the end of the day, though.
Ooh.
I did give
that
them
must
a little
have been a little
bit of the edge.
painful. Just a little.
I don't know. I saw so many, like you said, like losing to Undying and stuff like that. EG losing to teams that I would never expect them to lose versus like in their region. So I don't know. I look at Elephant and I see Somnus. Like these guys are the TI. Like they've been, like you mentioned, like 9 TIs where they've played in this, and they always tend to pop off. These are TI players. FY, these are main stage players. So that's where even though EG, of course, they have all that pedigree as well.
Also are main stage players.
But these guys have been in how many finals, how many top 3s, right? For Somnus, where he just, wow, Somnus just destroyed the whole game. So that was my slight little edge factor for them that I gave them.
Moxie?
I mean, I was looking at the stats and win rates and things like that, and EG, they're sitting higher, honestly. They're sitting, I believe, at 56 is what I saw, 56.25 is what Leo sent us, but I just feel like they get this momentum underneath them, right? Like Elephant has such all-star players, for sure, but I also feel like when EG is their backs up against the wall, I feel like a fire gets lit underneath them. And I think, they're working, like you said, with Boba, they're working with Franzi. They've got, a great support staff behind them. So I have them continuing.
All right, well, we're going to see what they're going to be doing here on the main stage. It is time for this best of one, EG and Elephant.
Elephant versus Evil Geniuses. Game 1.
Welcome to the last draft of the day between Elephant and Evil Geniuses. As we are going to be starting out with this draft in this best of one, I'm going to once again present to you my wonderful panel. It's going to be Aoi 2000 and Effie. I'm going to start with you. Say hello, please. Present yourself to the people.
Hey.
Cool.
Hello.
I'm going to start with you, Aoi. You are the NA veteran of this panel. I know you're a very big Chinese fan, so what should I be expecting here from EG?
I think EG, they're performing under their standard. So what's going to happen, if you have to play a best of one, these are veteran players. They should understand that comfort comes first.
Yep.
Anytime there's additional pressure, you should try to mitigate the effect of that by picking what you know you can win on and have won on before.
Okay.
So, I don't know, like what, Fly, Teamfight, Crit, Killer, Isis, annoying laner hero, Abed, scaling hero that can make moves, and Arteezy, good laner into map control.
What can we say for Elephant then? What could we be looking out for Elephant's draft?
So the way that Elephant typically play are they draft 2 really greedy cores in Somnus and Eurus, and they're actually quite dependent on Yang having a good lane, because if he doesn't have a good lane, he doesn't have the resources allocated to him. To make the plays to enable the kind of high tempo that they play after the laning phase. And I look at EG and I see a very lane heavy team. While Elephant doesn't focus on it so much, they do need to be able to come out with enough of a lead or a net worth advantage, or just to go even, so that they can actually play with these greedy cores.
All right. And we already have the starting picks here for Elephant. It's going to be tied in line.
So I like what you were saying about comfort, AY, because Tidehunter is a Yang specialty hero, and they're very used to playing behind it. They oftentimes collapse on lanes just behind the back of this Tidehunter, while they have one hero farming on another side of the map. And this hero's been banned out against them quite a few times, so it's nice to see that it was able to slip through for them, and I'm curious to see how they're going to draft around it now.
I'm a bit surprised that no one has gone for Isle in this game. I think it hasn't worked that well for both teams, but sort of been a very meta hero. I think Elephant, honestly, I think they're drafting a bit scared right now. Like from what I saw in the last skins of Group Stage, so they'll also be reverting to a comfort thing, as Effie mentioned with the Tidehunter. They played like a game with Isle Storm, and I think they won versus, was it Secret? I can't quite remember. And then they picked it like first 2 against LGD, and they lost both games. And then I don't know, it's like weird. Like if you start losing, you start trying to go to the things that you can grasp on to try to win with. And I'm not sure, but we can see for like Arteezy Luna, I think he played the most games on this hero since the Ana Major. He picks it for himself in like pretty much any game where he thinks Luna will work, and it's a decent counter pick to Tidehunter, honestly. The lane is very nice.
I would say so, and I really enjoy the synergy between ET and Luna, because Luna is a mixed damage carry. She doesn't just provide physical damage, but also magical, and ET succeeds in amplifying both. Also, it's become very clear that amongst all of the supports picked in group stages, ET is by far the most popular. It seems like his laning is very strong. His area control is very strong with his spirit and his stomp. He can contest choke points and the Roche pit in particular, and he can team fight. So it seems like he takes a lot of boxes that fit into this TI meta.
The other thing I wanted to add on to that about other Titan is that I think he's a little bit like I call them like net worth removers, because this patch seems to be very carry focused. So if you have heroes that remove how much net worth, like we see like OG and Secret, they like amp up the carry. If you remove that net worth, it's even more effective. ET, it doesn't matter. Like if you get beside their carry, it will die in 1 or 2 seconds.
And interestingly enough, how you mentioned that it's a very strong patch for the safe lane, I feel like that actually could have influenced Elephant's performance a little bit, just to throw back to the point that I was mentioning, Avo, about how they're very dependent on Yang having a decent enough lane in order to enable the rest of his team.
And can we talk about the Luna as well for a second? Because I actually saw a stat that Luna has the highest win rate currently in the best of ones in these lower brackets. Actually been played. What do you think about it?
1-1?
Yeah, no, it hasn't lost a single game.
Didn't it lose to Quincy crew? Spectre versus Luna? Was that not
sorry,
Luna?
that's my bad. You're totally right.
Okay.
Sorry, I misread that.
I think it was a tweet.
It was the tweet. Yeah, it was
Kyle.
It was a tweet by Kyle.
It was a Kyle curse. I know how he gets you.
I'm so sorry.
I know the exact tweet because I saw that. I'm just like, oh, it's a Kyle tweet, of course.
Right. I wonder if he does it on purpose.
No, he definitely does.
This is the hazing that I had to go through. I apologize for that.
I think Luna, though, in best of ones, like, even if it didn't win that game, it looked very stable and good. I think that's worth saying because Luna's a hero that pretty much every carry is comfortable with. She has clear timing, she's strong in lane, she farms really fast, and her scaling is good. And I'm telling you, it's like when it comes to best of ones and elimination at TI, you need to feel comfortable because even if your draft is slightly worse, if you feel more comfortable, you will win the game. I think like Brian BSJ, he was mentioning that to me about Leslaw's Fury, and I'm like, I don't like this pick at all. He's like, I believe in Leslaw's Fury, and they have an 86% chance to win. Because he's a genius, so he can predict the future like that. And I was super unsure. I was really worried for Quincy Group, but he was completely right. Leslaw's Fury, and it carried that game because it's a comfort pick. He knows how to play with it. His team knows how to play with it, and it just looks good.
And Luna was one of the most popular carries last patch. We all remember the dangers of Medusa and Luna and how horrifying our games were. But she fell out of favor a little bit because she did kind of lose her Lucent Beam on lane. It got nerfed very heavily, and so did she as a result of her excellent performance, right? But by having AT with her on lane, it's just a very, very strong lane. It stands it out completely, and you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, I agree with that. ET, like, you get a good spear. All you want is a little bit of poke for your carry, so you get that one extra hit. As long as you can get that one extra hit, a little stun, a little slow, you're going to trade regions super efficiently. It allows you to sort of like hit the 3 and 4 off your carry, and then they can just free farm, last hit, deny, and it just feels really good.
We continue the conversation about comfort picks. Can we talk about some of Elephant's comfort picks? Of course, you did mention the Tidehunter here, but is there anything else that you should be expecting here that they really like to play?
I would like to see a Storm Spirit for
Storm Spirit.
I think the Ember.
Nice.
There it is. I think the Ember and Invoker and Puck has made it very clear. This is one of. I don't want to sing his praises too much, but I do think he is one of the best Storm Spirits in this tournament. And he's just very comfortable in it. He can play it even if it is counter-picked. And this is all about comfort. This is all about making sure that you're not going to put yourself in a situation where you haven't been before in terms of Dota gameplay. And
I mean, if Somnus had 6 of the 9 solo kills in the group stage, I feel like you should put him on a hero that can do that. I feel like Storm can do that in a lot of lanes. I was expecting them to go for the Ember, but they chose to ban it to set up for the Storm Spirit themselves, as Effie mentioned. And it's a good hero. It's one of those heroes that can jump on top of Outer Titan, prevent him from getting onto your carry. Tidehunter Storm is actually a classic because you just blink Ravage and then you just blow someone up and there's nothing you can do about it. They have Finger, they have Storm Jump, they have Ravage. It's very hard to deal with.
And on top of that, they have Lion, right? So it looks like the crux of Elephant's draft right now is to just blow up a target really quickly. And the way that you play with Tidehunter Ravage is you want to blow up a core as fast as you can. And even in this situation, it might be worth it to just remove the AT first. And you just get rid of that aura that we were talking about. So this actually reminds me of a draft that Elephant played in the last OGA Dota pit. And the way that they would play around their Tidehunter was they would actually pick something like a Juggernaut for a Eurus. And they would have him group up early with his healing ward and just push down these towers. So I wonder if they're going to go for something like that here, something more traditional. I really would like to see that kind of high tempo gameplay come back from them.
You did mention the Ember Spirit as the ban for them. They go for the other Spirit for Ovid as well. We know that Ovid's also a Storm player himself. Do you feel like Void Spirit would fit this comfort pick idea for him?
I mean, Avid, I think for the last 5 tournaments has played Spirit Heroes. Exactly. So I think he is comfortable on it. Honestly, I'm a bit surprised. I know this matchup can go both ways, and I think Falk was mentioning to me, or BSJ, someone's mentioning to me that it's been picked in different orders. Like one team will pick Storm, the other team will pick counter Void Spirit, one team will pick Void Spirit, other team will counter Storm. To me, I've always sort of favored the Storm Spirit side of that matchup. I feel like the lane is more stable for Storm. But Void Spirit can definitely do work. I expect Avid will go for some 2 nodes, Brown Boots, Scepter, and be able to set up kills on the Storm Spirit. And when you pair that with the Disruptor, you can just use into the Static Storm. It's a decent counter.
I do agree with that, and I think Void Spirit is exceptionally good at backline jump. Line isn't the tankiest hero. In fact, I'd say he dies quite quickly. So Void Spirit can do a very good job of getting rid of him at the start of the fight, and that would make it so that Disruptor can actually save his ult for Storm. And the Silencer pick, perfect protection for what AY just mentioned.
So we've been touching a lot on comfort as well, but I think something else on Best of Ones you kind of want to look forward to as well is the ease of execution, right? You don't want to draft as something too convoluted. Would you say that these drafts are equal in that regard? Or do you see one draft as being harder than the other?
5 seconds. I think that gameplay so far looks clear for EG just because the win condition in Luna is apparent from the beginning, and they did pick 2 very squishy backline supports. But Elephant do have very strong team fight and the ability to snowball on Storm Spirit because he can also jump these backline supports on EG. The difference is it's harder to jump a backline when there's an AoE silence out of Disruptor and the potential of just Void Spirit double Astral stepping in and just getting you.
I mean, the ease of execution for me, it a bit depends on what carry Elephant have gone for. I think EG, they were smart to ban the Juggernaut, as Effie was mentioning. I think that sort of playstyle looked really good for them. I mean, I think I was talking to you about it earlier, Effie, but you were saying how, like, Elephant, they draft sort of standard, but they sort of play like cycles. Like, almost like OG, right? Like, they're drafting these slow heroes, and then they just go crazy with them, and it leads to these really exciting games. But it's also sort of crazy because you're drafting heroes where if you can execute, I mean, I've always been told, like, if you can play fast with slow heroes, then you get the best of both worlds, basically.
Right.
But it's really hard to execute, and so far I agree with Effie that EG's lineup, it seems very streamlined, you know? You're gonna have strong lanes. I think this is going to end up being an Under Titan 4, but Luna Disruptor is a really strong lane. Very simple to play. You just farm it up. You go around with Abbott. You kill some people. Luna farms. She hits tower ships, roll shot, and you try to win the game off that. Elephants, they have to like find the correct fights. Find some picks off with the Storm Jump and the Global Silence, and then find some good Ravages and Burst combos. It's not like that high execution, but I would agree that EG's maybe a bit easier right now.
And if you want to look at the overall picture of just cooldowns on each team, you have to look at this Tidehunter Ravage and this Global Silence by Silencer. So if Elephant lose their lanes, which hopefully they don't, but if they do, they're going to be in a very scary situation where they can only make plays when their cooldowns are up. And that's going to open the map for EG to just dominate with this ET and this Void Spirit.
Nightstalker is the final pick.
That's a classic anti-Silencer pick. Silencer's the type of hero where if you jump down with the Storm Spirit, he looks really good. But if you're the one getting jumped, I think the defensive global almost never does anything, and he's literally a creep. The other thing I want to mention is I think this might actually end up becoming a really good ET game. Like if Crit can get to Eggs, Mask of Madness, I can see him just straight up killing Tidehunter alone, and then like the team fights will blow wide open.
It just looks like the Elephant backline is in extreme danger now. This is not, it's not going to be easy to look through these fights. This last carry pick, okay, I like this one. I like this one because they need something that can frontline for them because Storm cannot function like that, and Tide can do it, but just not enough, right? You need that extra jump. And typically when Storm goes in on someone, he does need more damage, and they're going to be lacking in damage when Finger is down.
I feel like this also puts a little bit more pressure on EG to get some tempo going because you don't want Sven to just farm while your Luna's farming. I mean, you both farm fast, but at some point Sven's timings just feel more gold efficient than Luna's are. This also gives you a bit more purpose for Silencer because you can protect him in lane and Sven's another jump that you can globe off of.
Something good that Elephant have going for them is that they do have strong triangle defense in the Tidehunter and the Silencer. It's just that if Nightstalker can get this jump on Silencer, then the team fights are going to be very easy for EG if they win their lanes.
So is that what we should be looking out for? Is there anything else? Can you go in the reverse draft and give me what we should be looking out for in these team fights?
So if Elephant can hold out until their BKB timings, I do think they have a means to kill EG's heroes.
Do you agree?
Oh, for sure. I think the BKB timings will be really strong on Elephant. I do think, however, this game, a lot of it will come down to who can use their spirit better. Both heroes are sort of assigned similar roles in this game, and it will be up to them to set the tempo.
And Storm Spirit has a very difficult game because he's playing against Disruptor and Nightstalker.
Even, like, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
All right, no, I was going to just... Gonna say that. Thank you for the analysis, but we're gonna hear from EG's coach Bulba, who is standing with Sir Action Slack, so he can answer his questions.
Prepare for battle.
Now shall the battle turn.
你这么菜，你的队友不会生气？你这么菜，你的队友不会生气吧，哥哥
？Keep it PMA, keep it DSJ.
The International may be the ultimate goal for Dota 2 teams, but it is also a cemetery filled with the tombs of supposed super teams, and one of them is about to join them. Will it be All-Star Team Elephant, a mix of 2019's Chinese best players that they had, they grouped together, incredible stuff, or will it be Evil Geniuses, a multicultural mix, and back-to-back runners-up at this year's majors? Kyle, this has got to be the most star-studded best of one.
Are you kidding me? Okay, EG, obviously Dota royalty, but don't neglect that FY and Somnus are the two winningest Chinese players of all time. I don't think it's going too far to say that whichever roster loses this single game, it's the last time we're ever going to see them play. And it's actually kind of nice. We got to pause. We can chill a little bit, take a deep breath, make sure you got your popcorn, because this is the treat you've all stayed up late for. I am so excited. This is, you just don't see this. Spoke with No Tail yesterday. He said unquestionably the two best teams in the lower bracket. Now probably number 2 and number 3 since OG has dropped down. But at the time, these were the two best teams in the lower bracket, and they're playing up against each other. EG also is not North America's last hope. But
That is true. They were about to be for a second, but not anymore. Evil Geniuses will have to try and carry on just their pride and brand alone. This is so crazy that the start of this year, there's no way you would look at, especially Elephant, I think. Evil Geniuses, you know, like, okay, maybe hit or miss, but they've been like pretty consistent, hit or miss in group stage, but they've been pretty consistent whenever it comes to playoffs and big tournaments, right? You know, maybe they won't show up day one of groups, but by the end they will have figured themselves up and maybe scored into upper bracket. There was a reason they were back-to-back second place, right?
They're the most consistent, not just team, but like organization in history, right? TI 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, they're in the upper bracket after group stage.
All right, well, our pause is finished up, so let's get into the game here where we've got an early smoke coming out from Evil Geniuses and just might clash with Elephant for an early first blood. They're trying to make use of that Night Stalker nighttime vision while they still have it for 30 seconds.
To battle.
They actually would have got that high ground ward if they had any method of checking it, but they'll just block camp for the time being. This is, you know, until about 2 or 3 hours ago, Luna was undefeated in all best of ones at the International.
Yes, and then you tweeted that out and you cursed a team. But
now there's no voodoo. It's just will this work? Now, in EG, they typically lean on either Luna or Drow in these scenarios. This is going to sneak an extra bounty.
Very nice. Takes a lot of damage for it. Goes down to half his health, but well worth it.
We could have seen why in that Aster versus Quincy crew game, because Luna, it gives your team this easy understanding of how we're going to win this game of Dota. You're going to hit a BKB time, you're going to grab Aegis, you're going to push behind your Luna, you're going to be all good. You also have the ET, so tons of damage manipulation available. And Abed on one of his 5 heroes that he's played here at TI, the least versatile player so far, but there's a reason for that as he is a spirit extraordinaire.
Yeah, and there's only 4 spirits to work from, so he's been a little bit limited in what he can pick, but that has still been incredible performances by him. Not good enough, though, to keep them in the upper bracket. They were so close to being able to get there, but because they matched up against Undying and lost one of those 2 games, they end up here, now in the lower bracket against Elephant. And may just be saying goodbye to what was probably most people expected, at least top 8 out of them. Right? Get back back-to-back finals like that, you're expected to go pretty far at TI. But running into Team Elephant, especially since Elephant seemed to have, in my opinion, stepped up their play every single time they were up against one of the bigger teams in the group stage. So, you know,
hey, the EG mentality, I remember talking to Fear 4 or 5 years ago. If you're not at least top 3, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Winning this match wouldn't even get either of these teams to their expectations. We're talking about finals. That's what they had their sights set on. In the boot camp, I had people telling me that Elephant was just as good as PSG LGD. They just simply haven't performed that way once the matches started mattering.
And that is real scary to hear if you're an Evil Geniuses fan, because you're probably hoping that Elephant was looking lackluster like they have done the entire DPC, as we've yet to be able to see them on LAN, and yet they're finally here, and once they do get here, they don't even do that well. They end up in the lower bracket, and now, again, might just have an early departure out of TI. We got our matchups here. Silencer and Sven picked up. Nice Sven against Luna. That's a matchup that is always going to feel pretty good for you, right?
Yeah. It can kind of go both ways. We saw in that previous game how much a Scotty timing can really just handle a Sven.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be a bit more of an elegant sort of game because both drafts are so cooldown dependent. You know, Silencer Ultimate and Ravage,